ESPN College Football. Brought to you by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently.
It gets loud when the Horned Frogs fire up the Froghorn, a 3,000-pound mascot built back in 1994. And 100 decibels, 100 feet away. That is what that thing is capable of. That's loud. So that'll be what Shane Buechele will be dealing with tonight. Crowd noise certainly will be a factor. This is an intimate stadium. Seats just about 45,000, so he will make his second consecutive start with Sam Ehlinger out for the second consecutive week, Brock, because of a concussion that he suffered against Oklahoma State 2 games ago.
Yeah, not even dressed, as you can see there. So this is going to be on Buechele's shoulders, and you're going to see him throw it deep. Down in the field, watching him in warm-ups, he can really sling it. This O-line is in trouble. Lots of moving pieces, some inside runs, shots down the field. We'll get some fireworks for a Texas offense. Going to need to score a little bit tonight.
Texas won the toss and deferred. So it will be TCU to start with the football, and a charity hop over the head of Jalen Reagor and through the back of the end zone. So now to Kenny Hill. 2 turnovers last week inside the 10-yard line at the plus side of the field. That obviously was a killer for TCU, but when he is on, Brock, this team second best at home in scoring in FBS this season.
Run the ball and get the ball out of your hands. Those would be the 2 things I think early for me to keep an eye on. When I asked Sonny Cumbie, his offensive coordinator, who, by the way, took a lot of responsibility in that loss a week ago, felt like he did not help Kenny get into some of that rhythm. Quick passing game, the RPO game, that run pass option he is very adept at. Keep it simple and easy for a guy coming off a tough loss a week ago.
A little swing pass to start. Devontae Turpin out of bounds at about the 33-yard line as we take a look at tonight's impact players, brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
Well, that's one of them, and Turpin's all over the place. Punt return touchdown, kick return touchdown. He is tiny, but he is electric. Malik Jefferson, the leading tackler, the linebacker, and Elliott, the best in the country at taking the ball away.
Kyle Hicks across the 35 for a first down.
And when I mean tiny, I mean Turpin is tiny. I've not seen 153 much on my roster and on my chart here, but he is lightning quick.
Swing pass to Hicks, about 5 more, and a flag down. A hit out of bounds.
And that's just foolish over there. That's the corner, Holton Hill.
After the play was over, personal foul, late hit out of bounds, defense number 5, 15 yards added to the end of the run, first down.
Now on the flip side, he's 6'3", 200-pound corner and physical. And Texas has employed over the last couple weeks what Iowa State did, and that is drop 8 into coverage and ask those corners on the edge to be physical. You just can't do it in the paint.
Up the seam, incomplete, intended for John Diar's. Holton Hill was there in coverage. How much tempo will we see from TCU? How much do they vary it? How hard is it to adjust if you're Texas defensively?
Well, I think that is the key right there. I think you're going to vary it. You know, this is a group with Gary Patterson that loves to play defense, and they play it at a very high level, and you don't burden them too much, but it's all about his rhythm and tempo. That is the biggest key to just how fast they will play tonight.
Second and 10.
So the clean clock ran just a few ticks too far. They'll put 13 additional seconds back up for TCU.
And here's a very similar look to Iowa State a week ago. 3 men down, 8 guys 5 yards or deep. Try to keep everything in front of you.
Right into the heart of that Longhorn defense goes Kyle Hicks. Not much. No gain.
And you saw late there, Nashawn Hughes, the linebacker, he snuck up on the line of scrimmage. We see another penalty flag down.
Brad Van Vark, the referee of this Big 12 crew.
Personal foul, face mask, defense number 19, 15 yards from the previous spot, automatic first down.
So Brandon Jones, the second 15-yard penalty on this opening drive called against the Longhorn defense.
Yeah, and 2 out of the secondary, and that one was Slanina, the slot receiver, coming down to block the safety, and there was no doubt about it, his hands got into the face mask.
This time 6 Longhorns up near the line of scrimmage. Maybe an adjustment by Kenny Hill. And they will rush 6. Hill under pressure. Retreats and hurls it out of bounds.
Smart. You got to avoid the negative plays there and take advantage on the other side of 15-yarders. We saw it on the late hit. And here comes right at the top of the screen. See the safety, and he's just going to grab the face mask there. Just silly.
And for an offense this powerful, don't do them any favors, especially when you're the road team. And 30 yards of penalties on the opening drive for Texas. Hill on a keeper. Lowers his shoulders inside the 25-yard line for 4. Charles Amenahu made the stop, so a big 3rd down chance on this opening drive. Can Texas get a stop?
This area where Texas has been so good, one of the top 10 teams in the country on 3rd down. They mix coverages, they mix fronts. They try to make life difficult on a quarterback, as does TCU defensively on the other side.
And conversely, TCU is the only program in America in the top 10 offensively and defensively on 3rd down. So they have been terrific on both sides of the ball on these money downs. 4-man rush on the slant. Slanina's brought down a 1.5 yards shy. It'll be 4th down just outside the 20-yard line. And let's see if Gary Patterson keeps the offense on the field.
Remember, their kicker has been nicked up a little bit. Just a long this season for Jonathan Song, even though he's 7 for 7 at 39 yards and fighting a little injury as well. They're going to bring their big heavy package in. Olanalua, the running back, like to get in the wildcat formation with him.
And it looks like it will be a direct snap to Shewu Olanalua on 4th down and a full 2 yards. A throwback trick play. Olanalua's got it. He's got the sideline. He gets a block. Short of the end zone. Cavante Turpin lobbed it just with enough air under it to find Olanalua, and it's 1st and goal.
Impact player doing it in a variety of ways. No surprise. He's thrown one this year. Run one, caught one. Punt, kickoff, return, touchdown. That was a huge play. That was a play of inches right there. Texas nearly off the field on 4th down.
Kyle Hicks leaps. He's in for the touchdown.
Pretty good movement. You run that inside zone. You have got to create movement from guard to guard. TCU felt like that would be a huge key to their run game there in a short yardage situation. They do just that. And how good does that feel for the Horned Frogs? Shut out offensively for 60 minutes on the road in Ames. Just a week ago, they take the opening drive, took a 4th down and a trick play to do it, but they marched down for 7.
Here is Jonathan Song for the point after. A 9-play, 75-yard touchdown drive to start the game for the Frogs, and it is 7-0. Cavante Turpin, he can get you in many different ways. A trick play dialed up by Sonny Cumbie on 4th down. Just out of the reach of Chris Nelson, and it set up the touchdown. Welcome back. Now a look at this historic rivalry matchup brought to you by Wendy's. And it is a matchup all the way back to its beginnings that was dominated by Texas, but not of late. TCU has won 4 of the last 5 by 38, 43, and 22 in the last 3 in a row. So a combined 103 points in TCU's last 3 straight wins. And Brock, they're off to a great start with a 7-0 lead in the opening quarter.
Handling adversity, something that Texas has not done over the years in this matchup. Recently, both coaching staffs acknowledging that. Based on some penalties earlier in that opening drive, Texas is going to have to do so tonight.
Fair catch on the kickoff by Lil Jordan Humphrey, and our first chance to say hi to Adnan.
Hello, Bob. AT&T Field Pass for you, sir. Bedlam has been bananas. We go to Stillwater. It's 48-45. Baker Mayfield to Marquise Brown. 77-yard touchdown. That wasn't his longest of the day. Had one for 84 as well. 564 pass yards for Baker Mayfield. They're up by 10, and it's early in the fourth, Bob.
Now, one way to say Bedlam is that it has been bananas. The other way, if you're a defensive player or defensive coordinator, is that it has been embarrassing. 55-45 with 12 minutes to go is ridiculous. First carry of the game, true freshman Daniel Young, and he has stood up after a gain of 3. Now, Brock, these are 2 teams, obviously, that can put points on the board, but we're not expecting any type of shootout like that in this game with Shane Buechele. 2nd consecutive start.
I think for Shane, kind of like Kenny on the other side, get the ball out of your hand, especially early, and they're going to want to take some shots down the field. Feel like they've got some size advantages on the perimeter.
Jet sweep, Armonte Foreman, bottled up, flag down. It's a penalty against the Horns.
Personal foul, leg whip, offense number 51. Penalty be half the distance to the goal. Replay 2nd down.
These aren't the cheap variety. All right, this is a shot out of bounds. We have the face mask, and here you're going to see Cooney, the offensive center. He's trying to get out. He's trying to get to that 2nd level. And all 3 of those are just obvious. I mean, that's undisciplined. I know you're emotional. You've been beat up in this matchup over the last few years. You're trying to set a physical precedent, but you can't do it with foolish mistakes.
Dodging a tackler in the backfield. Nice job of at least finding his way back to the line of scrimmage for Daniel Young. Ross Blacklock missed a tackle in the backfield. Ty Summers came up and was able to finish off Daniel Young. Penalties have been a problem for Tom Herman's team, and they are a big problem so far. On the first 2 possessions of the game, they've already committed 3 personal fouls. 3rd down and 20. Four-man rush. One-on-one down the sideline. Incomplete. Intended for Dorian Leonard. So Texas will have to punt from deep in their own end.
And that's one of your Shane, just give your guy a chance. He throws a really pretty deep ball. I mean, that is the strength of his game. But if you've got 4 or 5 inches of height advantage there on the perimeter, you have got to try to give your bigger receivers an opportunity to keep the ball in bounds.
If Cavante Turpin had enough punt returns to qualify, at about 16 yards per return, he would be number 6 in America. If he had enough kickoff returns to qualify, he'd be number 4 in America. That is how dangerous he is, but the Longhorns, as good as any team in college football at changing field position, number 1 in net punting, and a beautiful kick here from Michael Dixon. That Turpin lets bounce. What a flip of the field for Texas. Kicking from inside your own 5, and now TCU will start at their own 10. It is a 76-yard punt by the Australian Michael Dixon. That's a game changer.
ESPN College Football is presented by Hampton by Hilton. Book a room today and follow your team all the way. And in part by BMW. We only make one thing, the ultimate driving machine.
When you unfurl a 90-foot wide banner at some point inside the stadium during a game, it takes some prep work. And the Fear the Frog banner debuted during TCU's inaugural Big 12 football season back in 2012. They have to do that fold-up job in the basketball arena to get it set. And at some point, we'll see that unfurled later on. It's the long field now for TCU as Brock That was about as significant a change of field position as you'll ever see.
And it speaks to a little bit of the breeze and wind you've got. It's whipping around a little bit. Wind aided, but you'll take 76 and flip the field anytime.
Kenny Hill with the give, and Crab crawling out to the 15-yard line with a gain of 5 is Kyle Hicks. That 76-yard punt, the 5th longest in the history of Texas football. Hicks again, tripped up, lost a yard and a half. It'll be 3rd down and a long 6. Chris Nelson with a tackle for loss.
That's a nice play. I mean, those D linemen, the 3 of them in there, they love to play that 3 down front. That's yeoman's work. You're taking on a double team. Puna 4 next to him, the nose tackle. That was all Chris Nelson, beating a double team, doing so with leverage. And you see TCU committed to the run game. I like that early. It sets up the whole rest of your offense.
Alua empties the backfield on 3rd and 6. Texas shows blitz. Here they come. Hill off his back foot, checks it down underneath. Well short of the 1st down marker is Desmond White. Good tackle by Gary Johnson.
Yeah, big time. And you've seen now 2 3rd down stops. And TCU went for it on 4th down with the trick play, but you see why they're good on 3rd down. They mix it up, and they've got tremendous team speed. They play awfully hard on that down and distance.
And what a big stand for the Texas defense to make a 76-yard punt stand up.
Yep.
So now let's see what type of field position UT ends up with midway through the 1st quarter.
This is going to be early on TCU.
Ball start. Offense number 23. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
It's a joy to sit with, isn't he?
Well, his football mind and the way the wheels are always turning.
They're like yours.
Something jumped
Yeah,
out
like yours. They're a little NFL mind.
I didn't speak much in the production meeting because I didn't want to obviously show too much of that knowledge. Hemphill maps, fair catch at his own 40-yard line. Great field position for Texas. 46-yard punt, but Texas starts at their own 40, down a touchdown when we come back.
ESPN College Football is presented by Hampton by Hilton.
Bob Wischusen and Brock Ewert, Allison Williams here in Fort Worth. Shane Buechele, great field position, 2nd opportunity with the football. And Brock, we know this is not a deep and talented offense for Texas, but how hard is it to keep flip-flopping starters the way they have had to because of injury at the most important position all year long?
Challenging for everybody, just as challenging as you're starting a different offensive line combination now for the 9th straight game.
Daniel Young up the middle 3-yard. Buechele began the season as the starter, lost to Maryland. He got banged up, hurt his shoulder. Then Sam Ehlinger came on for the next 2 games. Buechele returned for the Iowa State game, but ankle injury, 3 games for Ehlinger. He gets a concussion. Now back to Buechele for 2 starts. And I would think that preparation difficulty each week with a different starter, that can't be easy. Designed rollout, and Buechele will tuck it under and pick up about 2.
And tonight he's going to match wits with, I think, the best defensive mind right there in college football. It's Nick Saban 1, Gary Patterson 2. He's the Bill Belichick to me of college football, and he's trying to get his guys on and off the field and lined up. Is Texas going to quick snap here? Actually, they're going to bluff and try to get that check with me system to see exactly what Gary Patterson's going to do. And it's fun to just keep an eye on him during the game as he is out on the field and he's making the calls. But he redesigns that plan week in and week out to attack the opponent. Does it well.
3rd down and 8. Buechele under pressure, and down he goes. Matt Boson, his 5th sack of the season.
And nothing terribly complex there. A little line stun in the 4-man rush. But when it comes to Gary Patterson, and what stands out to me is I'll watch him every single week, Bob, and every week it's tweaked. It's a little something. It's a little different on 3rd down. I mean, that's just the challenge right there on the edges of Texas, and they're going to have it all night. On top of the coverage challenges that Gary Patterson, and look at, he's all over it. He's so demanding, he's so exacting, and he's very innovative in what he does in his coverage, and we'll get to that through the night.
Another pretty kick for Michael Dixon. Fair catch at the 15-yard line by Turpin. Let's go to Adnan.
All right, big game, Bob. Rocket Mortgage playing with confidence. Your favorite. Bedlam again. Boone Pickens Stadium after they converted a 4th and 12. Mason Rudolph to Tyron Johnson. We've had 4 touchdowns in just under 5.5 minutes. 55-52 Sooners. Bob, you got to love it.
Not if I'm a defensive coordinator. I don't. That's arena football. That's first defense to get a stop wins. It's amazing.
That is, speaking of some defensive guys, the Nick Sabans, the Gary Pattersons, the Pete Carrolls, like, just stay over the top. Just stay over the top. Just don't give up a big play. Just keep a middle safety and stay over the top of those explosive plays.
I know football's a copycat game. Are you starting to see a little more of that 3-down lineman, 8 in coverage, trying to combat in this league specifically these big offenses?
Exactly what we were talking about with both of these staffs yesterday.
Let's see how Texas plays it here. 3-down lineman. And they'll run a little option. The pitch out. Turpin brought down behind the line. Played perfectly. Deshaun Elliott, he is a true impact player.
He's phenomenal. He's a next level guy. Now, he's a junior. He may come back to school, but Malik Jefferson's gotten a lot of the headlines as a leading tackler and sacker and tackler for loss. Elliott is in the Jim Thorpe semifinalist. He leads the country in interceptions, and what I love is that Todd Orlando, D coordinator, has tried to free him up. In coverage, oftentimes he's the free guy. He's what we call the lurker. When they rush 3 and drop 8, he's got his eyes in the backfield. And as you can see with the closing speed and the want-to finish on the tackling, complete package. Here he is right here.
Under pressure, looking on the zone read for some room. Nothing there for Kenny Hill. Puna forward. Back-to-back tackles for loss. At the 8-yard line, it will be 3rd and long.
And look at Puna here. He is just lined up right in the middle. He's about 5'11". He's 300 pounds. He is a load to deal with in a double team. And he's even better when he's not blocked.
3rd down at 17. Only a 3-man rush. Hill extends the play. He's going to tuck it under and run. Can he get to the first down? Line to gain, and he can. And then some, all the way out to the 35. That is a backbreaker for the Texas defense. They get beat on the ground.
Yeah, and I love this. And then you come right on back. You don't celebrate that at all. And we're going to run to the line, more than likely a quick zone read or quick screen.
Reaching for about 1.5 yards is Darius Anderson. Malik Jefferson came up to make the tackle.
You know, that rushing 3 stuff and dropping 8 is all wonderful when you're playing a statue. Excellent job here in that run game between the tackles. That's textbook there. That's filling it. That's Malik Jefferson. That's the 1-2 punch of Elliott and Jefferson. But that's all great when you drop 8. You know, when you're playing Iowa State doesn't like to run with their quarterback, or Mason Rudolph doesn't like to run. When you got a guy like Kenny Hill that can run, you have to have your eyes in the backfield, even on 3rd and 17.
Quick hitter to Turpin. Speed to the edge.
Bob, Kenny Hill clearly a different player in person than when he was at Texas A&M. He said when he came to TCU, he just put his head down and went to work to show them that Kenny Trill, as he was known then, was dead. And it was really a turning point for him. Following his sophomore season at A&M, he came home to South Lake about 30 minutes from here. He said, I just spent the days coaching junior high quarterbacks. They were looking up to me. And here they are asking me, why am I here? Why am I not in college? He said, it was such a gut check for me. And I realized I really had to turn around my life.
And he has done that. He's got a chance on 3rd down and 3 to keep a drive that he just turned around himself with that scramble on 3rd and 17. And the slant on time to John Diarse, the LSU transfer. So that's Texas A&M transfer, 2 LSU transfer, and a move of the chains.
And that's 2 transfers of 3rd downs, 1 3rd and 17, 1 3rd and manageable. And you're seeing why they're number 2 in the country at that. They get to 8, game 9, game 10. You are who your numbers say you are, kind of like in baseball, right? So look at those numbers, they become very real mid-season. Well, we're into the 4th quarter of a season, and when you're number 2 in the country on 3rd down, you see why. And a play-making quarterback, then keep plays alive. And and move those chains with his legs. Huge advantage.
Up the middle, Anderson bouncing off tacklers, spinning close to another first down. He's got 9.
And if you were Texas, here it comes, man. Here comes that mentality. Here comes some of that grit. You think you're off the field. You think 3rd and 17. We stopped them again, back-to-back stops. Instead, they make the play, and they're pushing it down the field.
Texas not even set defensively as Desmond White makes the catch. 6 different Horned Frogs have already caught a pass here in the first quarter. Another quick hitter, Anderson. A gain of 3. Hill floats one up the seam, wide open. Cole Hunt, the tight end. And TCU's in the red zone.
That's what all that underneath throws does. We always hear about runs setting up play action. All those little underneath bubbles get people flat-footed, get eyes in the backfield. And you somehow, some way, sneak a 6'7" tight end right down the middle of the field. This is the strength of his game. I mean, the average time holding the ball tonight got to be about 1.5 seconds.
Kenny Hill is 6 for 6 on this drive.
Allow him to react. That's when he's at his best.
Turning the corner, Anderson. Driven back at the 12.
A lot of guys touch the leather here, don't they? More than anybody in college football. 20 different receivers this year, or players, running backs, tight ends, wide receivers, have caught a pass. 11 different Horned Frogs with a touchdown. Both those stats lead America. That is remarkable and keeps everybody active and alive.
Well, last week TCU lost that game in the red zone. 2 turnovers inside the 10-yard line. Turpin inside the 5, looking for the pylon. He's out of bounds. Just inside the 3-yard line, 1st and goal for the Horned Frogs.
And that ball is out of his hand in a hurry, isn't it? I know his dad was a pitcher, a Cy Young runner-up, Ken Hill. Second baseman, shortstop, gets it out of his hand in a hurry, does Kenny.
Hicks to the 1.
See, Texas has been good situationally. That's why they've won. Hasn't been on the offensive side of the ball. It's been situationally, defensively on 3rd down in the red zone, creating some takeaways. Been different for Todd Orlando. Awfully hard when an offense can convert on you and move those chains and play with the tempo that the Horned Frogs are tonight.
Hicks tries again. Second effort. He didn't get there. It'll be 3rd down and goal when we start the second quarter. Gary Johnson and Holton Hill saved a touchdown. It'll be the 15th play of this drive from the 1-yard line for TCU in a moment. It reminds us we're here at Amon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth, Texas, for what's been a great game so far for TCU and a great drive. A 14-play march all the way down to the 1-yard line. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewart, Allison Williams. It's a fun crowd. This is a great college football atmosphere in an intimate stadium that was a sellout for weeks heading up towards tonight's game. And a huge play, Brock, to start off the second quarter. 3rd down and goal at the 1.
Give Kenny Hill some options.
Alanalua didn't get there. The Horns rise up. Malcolm Roach made the stop. Helped out by Breckenhager. And now what do you do if you're Gary Patterson on 4th and goal?
Yeah, you got to get the points. I mean, it's one thing when you're stretching the distance of your kicker. Good look at Todd Orlando right there. His guys are rising up, man. His guy, I like the way you use that term. I mean, you just put the film on after that week 1 embarrassment to Maryland. You just watch how hard his guys are playing as you see a Horned Frog down on the ground.
That's one of those blocking tight ends, Dathan Davis, that lines up as a fullback as well. And it looks like his right knee may have gotten twisted. But for Texas,
huge.
I don't know that you could ever come off the field after a 16-play drive as a defense feeling good about yourselves, but they should feel good about the stop that they just made down at the 1-yard line. And in the mass of all those bodies, there is the knee getting twisted for Dathan Davis.
He's the Southern Miss transfer that comes in their heavy packages. Tough kid. And I hate to say this, all this huge generalization that the Texas teams in the past wouldn't have done this or wouldn't have done that. I think that's unfair to both those players and these guys tonight, but that is the kind of grit. I mean, that's the kind of mental toughness and then just the physical toughness on the goal line to make that stand right there. Those are the building blocks that Tom Herman and Todd Orlando are looking for.
Well, since losing to Maryland on opening day in embarrassing fashion, the Horns have allowed less than 17 points per game because they've gotten red zone stops like that and forced field goals rather than touchdowns. 10-0 TCU. Football presented by Hampton by Hilton. A stop down at the goal line for Texas. They're about to get the football back. Now, of course, they only ran 5 offensive plays in the first quarter. Check that, 6 offensive plays and lost a combined 2 yards. So when you're -2 to 138 total yards, you're looking for something to feel good about. But Brock, they had something to feel good about when they went back to the sideline defensively.
Football, man. You know that from the next level. And I'll tell you, I think these are the cockiest kickers in college football. TCU, a little dancing, a little feed me after the made PAT. These guys get after it.
If you're the kicker, you're not allowed to use the feed me as far as I'm concerned. Maybe Adnan agrees. Adnan, back to you.
I'm always on Team Bob Wischusen, all right? Update on Bedlam, 55-52, Sooners leading it. And Chad Whitener with a huge interception for the Cowboys. However, Oklahoma State looks like now have turned it over to Oklahoma. It's a 3-point game, under 2 to go. Buckle up, Bob.
Well, maybe it took until the last 3 minutes of the game for one of the 2 defenses to make a play. But they just did, so we'll keep you updated on Bedlam. And obviously that impacts the way that the Big 12 college football playoff hopes will shake out. Bouchel swings one wide. Little Jordan Humphrey. And that should be very close to a first down, if not good enough. And it is a gain of 11. That's a Texas first down.
Yeah, Texas says if you're going to throw all these little bubble screens, then we can do the same. Their receivers just tend to be about 6 inches taller and 30 to 40 pounds bigger than the TCU slot receivers.
Daniel Young breaks a tackle. Strong run for 4 yards. Traven Howard went for a piggyback ride. He's the first player to lead TCU in tackles 3 years in a row. Jump cut left for Young. Driven back after a gain of 2. 3rd down and 4 coming up for Texas. Nico Small on the stop.
Just as Texas is really good defensively in these situational areas, TCU's better. 3rd down, red zone, touchdown defense. Both these areas so strong as well for TCU.
All the communication you see going on in the secondary, the linebackers to the defensive backs. You ever seen a defense that communicates like this before?
They do it more than anybody else in college football. They pattern read.
Bouchel. Little Jordan Humphrey turns upfield. He's got the first down. Wide receiver hitch to John Burt. 5 more.
Guys, Traven Howard, one of those linebackers, constantly communicating. So much going on with this defense. I asked him about learning it. He said, I just tell the young guys when you come in, look, it's going to be hard. There's more keys. There's so much more attention to detail. You just have to treat it like it's another class. Commit to studying the playbook because you're going to have a different test every week.
About 3 yards shy of the first down on the run for Daniel Young.
A lot of defenses, most defenses in college football just say, you know what, we're going to do what we do. And we line up, and I don't really care what the opponent does. It's not Gary Patterson's brand of ball. He is going to get his guys week to week to adjust, as I said earlier, to jump routes. And look at the conversation here. Linebackers, safeties, to corners. Everybody's communicating based on fronts, based on tendencies and formations of that offense.
4-man rush. Buechele into the hands and out of the hands of Humphrey. Bothered by Travin Howard. And now a 4th down decision for Tom Herman. 4th and 3 at the plus 42. And it looks like he may leave his offense on the field.
And this may be a hard count. This may be any number of options. Gary Anderson, I just love to watch him. Just love to watch him on the field, how interactive he is. He's constantly, like those linebackers and safeties, communicating.
Will Texas snap the ball?
Gary Patterson all over it, all game long.
Play clock at 5. Still looking over to the sideline is Buechele. Play clock down to 1. Tom Herman has to call a timeout. And he runs down the sideline to do just that. Fourth and 3. See if Texas still decides to go for it when we come back.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by the Ego Power Plus blower. Ego, power beyond belief. And AT&T.
The Dutchmen fire up the student section. Practiced earlier today. They've got them fired up here. Brock 4th and 3. Texas, it looks like still going for it. What do you think?
You may try to hard count here. You may take a delay of game and end up just punting this thing any number of options. But Gary Patterson has run different personnel on and off the field over the last 2 minutes, trying to get his matchup that he wants.
Would you run a play and go for it if you were Texas?
I don't think so. 10-0, my defense has rose up on a couple different occasions. I think I play the field position game.
Well, Texas will snap it, and they will go for it. Buechele swing pass, and it's bobbled and caught. Executed perfectly to Chris Warren. And Buechele in the face of the rush hung in there and delivered a strike for 12.
He sure did, and it was his big back out of the backfield. Chris Warren there in that motion just distracted TCU. Sometimes you do so much, right, and you're wondering about your adjustments. Exactly what we talked about Tim Beck last night, offensive coordinator. Why are they going to do so much of that window dressing? Because when the guys on the other side have to think as much as they do, some of those motions can distract.
Buechele well protected, looking downfield, checks it down instead. Stepping on the sideline, though, was Humphrey. And that'll be an incomplete pass. He was out of bounds.
So again, just watch some of the eyes and the interaction here with this motion. The motion had come across, and you're going to see them come across, and you can see the middle linebacker here, right? He just freezes with this motion, and that's either middle linebacker or safety that have to take the big back out of the backfield. And they had actually substituted Evans into the game for the linebacker Summers. Gary Patterson thought that they would go to the running back, but a misfire there between linebacker or safety in coverage moves the chains on 4th down.
Tipped ball, incomplete, intended for Colin Johnson, broken up by Nick Orr. Third down and 10. Could it be 4-down territory again for Texas, depending on what happens with this play?
That's right.
Four-man rush, floating it down the sideline. Buechele intended for Kyle Porter. He lays out but can't make the catch. So from here, you're looking at about a 47-yard field goal for Josh Rowland, and that will be what Texas will opt for.
So you can see some of the matchup there, the gamesmanship on both sides. Tom Herman's a really good coordinator, head coach, as is Tim Beck, the guy that calls his plays. And they're trying to get their running backs on these linebackers. One on 4th down, had a shot there on 3rd.
Junior made a season long of 49 at Iowa State, but as you can see, that's his only make from 40 plus. Smooth as could be, but short. Just couldn't reach. So Texas gets a 4th down conversion, but they come away empty as Rowland misses by at least 5 paces. Taco Bell is a proud partner of the College Football Playoff. Be on the lookout for Taco Bell student sections of passionate fans like these at games all season long. Kind of like the Cameron Crazies. They are right behind the visiting bench here at Amon G. Carter Stadium. All those TCU Horned Frogs students basically from 20-yard line to 20-yard line, and they're not quiet. Empty backfield for Kenny Hill after the missed field goal. 3-man rush. Pocket starts to collapse, but he dances out of trouble and takes off, easily picking up a 1st down.
And this is just where he is so dangerous. If you're going to play that alignment defensively, and Todd Orlando knew it. You know, he said to us, yeah, we played really good defense the last few weeks, but we have not had to face a quarterback that can create like Kenny Hill can.
Screen, and that picks up 7 to Longlua.
Guys, this could be a really significant injury or loss for the Texan Longhorns defense. Malik Jefferson, their linebacker, is in the injury tent with an illness. I saw him kind of holding his stomach. Remember, there was a stomach bug that was going around this team.
Wide open down the sideline, making a catch and breaking a tackle is John Diarse. So without their leader in the middle, Malik Jefferson, the Texas defense not answering the bell after the missed field goal, and right back in the red zone is TCU.
And right back to the line of scrimmage they come after those explosive plays, faking that bubble screen, and got the eyes of Holton Hill, the corner there, who bit.
Inside the 15-yard line is Ty Slanina.
Traditionally, for football for so many years, you run the ball, you set up your play action pass. In this conference, you bubble screen, then you take your shots down the field. You bubble screen, then you hit your seam, or you fake bubble screen and go on the outside there. A different brand of football, the same philosophy though, affecting the eyes of those defenders.
Back to Kyle Hicks, he's got a lane. To the 5, to the pylon, touchdown. TCU, a point after away from a 3-score lead.
You know what you love to see on film? You always pointed out, Wischusen, just the dance steps of those big fellas up front. When they are in unison, and those big guys, those 5 linemen are all working, and the choreography is beautiful on that stretch outside zone run. Tremendous block there by Joseph Noteboom, the left tackle, and it's a work of art when operated correctly.
I'm glad you're starting to pick up on the football that I've been able to teach you. Kyle Hicks doesn't need anybody to teach him where the pylon is.
The College Football Playoff Top 25 Ranking Show, Tuesday at 7 on ESPN, presented by Goodyear.
As our old buddy Chris Berman would say, Week 9 Monday Night Football takes us to the NFC Norris Division. Lions, Packers, Lambeau Field. Monday Night Countdown kicks off our coverage at 6 Eastern on ESPN. The game also available on ESPN2 in Spanish. Tough sledding without Aaron Rodgers for that offense in Green Bay. Can they get it on track without him?
Awfully difficult to do.
I would say so. Let's go back to Adnan.
All right, Bob, just for you, one more update on Bedlam. So Oklahoma State was trying to rally. Mason Rudolph could not convert on 4th down. So Oklahoma comes back, and it's Trey Sermon for the touchdown. 114 combined points, most in Bedlam history. 60 first downs, over 1,400 yards, and it's not officially a final yet. How do you like that? Sooners by 10, Bob.
Well, Adnan, Oklahoma was still going for touchdowns when they could kneel on the ball. They had a minute to go in that game. Only 2 timeouts for Oklahoma State. Mathematically, at that point, you can go to victory formation. They were still running plays, and they scored another touchdown. Can Texas now bounce back down by 3 scores? Desperate need of some points on this drive. Buechele off play action, takes a shot, looking for Humphrey. He's got it! Big play for the Horns, down to the TCU 36-yard line.
That's what they did to USC, and it was different guys. In fact, in that game, it was Colin Johnson, but this is what you have to do. This is one of your matchup advantages. You don't have many at the line of scrimmage, but you've got 6'4" receivers on some 6', 5'11" corners and safeties. You've got to put the ball up in the air and allow them to go make a difference for you.
Screen, and Pill Maps with a flag down. Is brought down. Have to check the marker.
Offside defense, number 91, lined up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, replay, first down.
Just going to see it right here. And once again, more motion and all of that, but you just can't line up and helmet into that neutral zone. That linesman looking right down the line of scrimmage.
Again, play action for Buechele. Again, he's taking a shot. End zone. Jump ball. It looks like it's hauled in. Colin Johnson. 50-50 ball. And Johnson wins it. That's a Texas touchdown. Just what the Horns needed.
Buechele does best, play to your player's strengths. That's what Johnson does well too. He comes back for it. That ball is not even necessarily a high point. He is fighting through though. There's no doubt about it. Who wants it?
That's going to make Dad proud. His father Johnny, of course, a UT All-American defensive back and a college football Hall of Famer. He and his brother Kirk's also a sophomore running back on this Texas roster. They both turned down offers to a bunch of California schools to follow in their dad's footsteps to come to Texas as they were raised out in San Jose.
6'6", 220 on 6 foot, $195.
You like that matchup as a quarterback?
We do. I mean, this is the one thing that Texas is going to have challenges at the line of scrimmage tonight. You have seen them get the running backs and linebackers, even a defensive end. But ultimately, if they're going to put points on the board against this defense, it's going to be Buechele's right arm, giving these big receivers an opportunity to go up and be difference makers.
Drive that felt like a must for Texas, and they get 7. We return with our all states, all hands in play.
Get the ball out of your hand. A game of adjustments. Kenny Hill's dad was a longtime pitcher in Big League Baseball. You hear that all the time in baseball. It's a game of adjustments. So it's football. And after a rough shutout a week ago, you knew that Sonny Cumbie and Kenny were going to make the adjustments. And tonight it is just simply react. I don't want you back in the pocket, hitching and thinking and reading full field. Get the ball out of your hands. And then his legs have been tremendous as well. 11 straight completions. You can see it started just 2 of 4. And that was the longest he's held the ball all night, was that seam route to Cole Hunt, the tight end. Everything else has just been catch and react.
That's Brock Ewart. I'm Bob Wischusen, here with Allison Williams as well. From 2 yards deep, Jalen Reagor will bring it out. The true freshman grinds his way out to about the 30-yard line. Pretty good field position for TCU and the ESPN app. Today especially, it was a fan's best friend. Stream every ESPN and ABC college football game live at home or on the go. You'll get access to scores, news, and highlights all season long. Download the ESPN app. Start streaming now. We had Brian Griese and Steve Levy calling that incredible Iowa drubbing of Ohio State on here in the booth. But I had the phone down here with Mason Blackledge with that almost comeback by NC State against Clemson. So TCU, do they now control their own destiny in your mind with the mayhem we've already seen today with a couple of top 10 Big Ten teams going down?
Yeah, and Oklahoma next week. Yeah, it's about what you do, because you know in this month of November, teams are going to fall, just as we saw 3 in the top 10 today.
Kenny Hill looking for 12 straight completions, unless he tucks it under and runs. He will, and this time he's bottled up by that UT defense, a gain of 4. Adnan?
Well, Bob, excellent use of drubbing there and describe what happened at Ohio State. Maybe a closer game with LSU, Alabama. 6 runs, 3 completions, and it finishes with Jalen Hurts to Irv Smith Jr. Bama's up 7-0 in this big rivalry midway through the first. Bob?
Oh, and how bad does that one get tonight for LSU? Can they hang in there? Do they have any hope of hanging in with Alabama?
Better score.
That is tough sledding. Backwards pass. Little stutter step for Darius Anderson. Pretty good move in the open field as Malik Jefferson able to get himself back on the field, was there to help track him down. Big third down coming here.
And they have to have him. I mean, he's a difference maker. In fact, on that touchdown run, we saw on the sidelines Elliott yelling at some of the younger players, the other linebackers, Gary Johnson, the JUCO transfer, Anthony Wheeler, the other middle linebacker. Both those guys cannot react and run the way that Jefferson can.
Third down and a long one, closer to 2. Keeper. Nothing there for Hill. A stop for the Texas defense. Malcolm Roach, his second tackle for loss, helped out by Gary Johnson. And Texas about to get the ball back.
And I can't tell you how good this is. This is a 3-man front. This is everything should work here. You've got the entire offensive line. But look at Roach. I mean, he plays both. You just can't do it better than this. He's unblocked. He doesn't hesitate. He plays the running back. He plays the quarterback. It's been a really nice picture of why this group has been so good on third down. They do it at every level. The guys that can cover one-on-one, linebackers that can run, and D linemen there, like you just saw, take away the option there for the quarterback.
Nunez with a nice punt. Hemphill maps from his 12. Nowhere to go. Talk about the camera club. 6 Horned Frogs all over Reggie Hemphill maps in coverage after a 52-yard punt. Only a 4-yard return. And Texas, they struggled in the first quarter. A completely different story so far in the second quarter.
Yeah, minus 2 yards in the first 15 minutes. A nice fourth down. Thought a pretty gutsy call from Tom Herman. He knows what he has, doesn't have on this team. Cross midfield, was aggressive. They just missed the field goal, and then they took 2 shots. And there's going to be more of those. I mean, you have to take 2 shots a quarter, period, maybe even more. Because that's what Buechele does best. That minimizes some of your disadvantages on the edges of your offensive line, and certainly what your receivers are capable of doing.
From the tape you've watched, how different is this Texas offense when Buechele's in as opposed to Ellinger?
Yeah, Ellinger's a runner. I mean, he's going to look at one guy and then he's going to run. And Buechele, opportunity to beat zone a little more of a progression passer.
Set to throw here from inside his own 10. Up the seam, nearly a one-handed catch, and there's the flag. Devin Duvernay, the intended receiver, tied up with Traven Howard, and that looked like a pretty clear interference call.
That's a nifty little route.
Pass interference. Defense number 32. The ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
A little conversation, actually, with a few of these officials on the field today. Just for my clarification, the difference between holding and pass interference. Because what Howard did was he held. But when the ball is in the air, that holding turns into pass interference on a little option route and go there by Texas.
Back to the ground, and Chris Warren. Tough to bring down. Close to 3 yards. Out to the edge, and Hill maps about 2 yards shy of the first down. So now a third down coming here for Texas to try to keep this possession alive.
And look at all the eyes here to the sidelines, and then watch the level of communication. So they're looking to Gary to get the call, and then just watch the conversations between linebackers. First of all, Gary's on the field. I think he wants to play. That's constant. And then just look at the communication between corners and safeties and linebackers. Everybody's trying to get on the same page defensively.
Here comes the blitz. Buechele under pressure. He's going to try and run for a first down, and he's got it, and then some.
Tom Herman was pretty proud of the fact that the 3rd fastest Longhorn a week ago on the field was Buechele. And I said to you earlier, Ellinger's obviously the runner, but don't sleep on what Shane is able to do with his legs. Hit nearly 20 miles an hour a week ago on his touchdown run against Iowa State.
Play action fake once again. Under pressure, spins out of trouble. Nice throw by Shane Buechele. Daniel Young pivots and has a gain of 6.
Playing with some confidence, isn't he? It's amazing what a shot down the field or two can do. When you put the ball up and your buddies make plays for you, it just infuses you with a level of confidence and playmaking. And when you're watching the other guy on the other side convert third downs with his athleticism, and Shane's got enough too.
On the keeper, there goes Buechele. Inside the 40 to the TCU 37. Finally tracked down by Traven Howard, but not before he picked up 18 yards.
Texas, like most of these programs, tracks the speed, the acceleration on the field. 21 miles an hour was the fastest Longhorn a week ago, but as I said, 19.5 for Buechele on his touchdown run, and twice you've seen that speed.
Pass protection is there again, allowing him to take a shot. Almost intercepted. For Anthony Tejada in perfect position against Devin Duvernay, and it looked like Buechele decided he was going to throw that ball no matter what.
Yeah, that's a risk you don't necessarily need to take right there. I think that's also a couple scrambles. I'm gassed, and sometimes when you're gassed, it affects your judgment too. Yeah, that was plenty of soft coverage from Tejada. Receiver turned DB to stop the interception.
Screen instead. Little Jordan Humphrey dodging tacklers to the 35-yard line for a gain of 3. His brother wanted to name him Michael after Michael Jordan. His mom said no. The compromise, how about Lil Jordan? And that's his name, Lil Jordan. 3rd down and 7. 4-man rush. Buechele over the middle. Now what do you do?
I don't
Tejada with a good tackle on Joe. What is the call on 4th down and 4?
Yeah, I don't think I attempt a field goal since I was 6 yards short. And I think I put pressure once again immediately on that defense here.
They're not wasting any time. Buechele, it's not there. Broken play. Down he goes. And Texas turns it over on downs.
And sometimes you could be too fast and actually hurt yourself. I said they're going to put pressure on the defense, but look at this. There's nobody. I mean, Buechele's faking it. He's looking for somebody here, and more than likely, Jordan to come out on the route, and they just all run block. They think this could be a run pass option, and he's going to throw it. And that is a lonely, empty, sinking feeling when you're a quarterback holding that ball and you've got nowhere to go.
As you said, going too quickly. When all 3 guys go to run block, is that just not taking enough time to communicate if we're going to throw that bubble screen?
Right.
One of the 3 of you has to know you're the receiver.
No doubt about it.
Plenty of time for TCU before halftime. We'll start with Kyle Hicks. And he patiently allows a hole to develop and picks up 7 yards. Tuesday on ESPN, an exclusive reveal once again of the College Football Playoff Top 25 rankings. Week number 2's rankings come your way at 7. Reese and the guys break it all down. I'll also stream live on the ESPN app. Incomplete pass for Kenny Hill. By the way, the committee chairman, Kirby Hocutt, he'll be on the show, a live interview to help explain the committee's thinking as to what goes into the second reveal of the playoff rankings.
Yeah, and they got a lot harder job this time around. They're hanging out. They're down here in Texas. They're watching all the games this weekend, and they saw the first domino of chaos fall.
Now a big play quickly here for the Texas defense. 3rd down and 3 as they try to get a stop. False start possibly. Texas defensive lineman jumped in the neutral zone, but he said he was drawn off. And that's the call.
Offense, number 70. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So now it's 3rd down and 8.
That's Awangwu right there, and he's saying, hey, hold on a second. The big nose tackle, Puna, he flinched. What am I supposed to do when 300-something flinches like that? And he gets the call now. It's been the legs of Kenny Hill on these 3rd downs. And especially when Texas has not brought people, just rush 3. He's been dynamic in this down and distance.
They're showing pressure here. And here comes a 4-man rush. Hill from the pocket, long throw, incomplete. Another 3rd down stop for the Texas defense. Turpin, the intended receiver.
And that's not what he does best right now. And that looked a little bit like Iowa State a week ago, and he's shaking his head for the first time. Like, dang it, I know it. I hitched. And I let that ball sail. My fundamentals failed me. I'm not driving through that pass. Really good on third down. A big reason they've scored 17 on a good defense in this first half. Not surprised to see some pressure on that down and distance.
And Bill Mapps. Fair catch. Just across the Texas 20-yard line. Once again, let's check in with that now.
All right, Bob, thank you. Coming up, the Mercedes-Benz halftime report. Bama's first big test. They're taking LSU in Tuscaloosa. Also, Bedlam setting some crazy offensive records as Baker Mayfield had almost 600 passing yards and a couple of shockers in the Big Ten, as now the playoff picture has really changed. Jesse Palmer, Joey Galloway, and me. We'll see you at the half, Bob.
Well, Adnan, we have 2 minutes and 37 seconds before we get to you for the halftime report. Brock, I think a very interesting 2:37 for Texas.
Yes.
They start the third quarter with the football. Would you be of the mindset, if you're Tom Herman, of let's milk some clock here and make sure TCU doesn't touch it again before halftime?
100%.
Let's see how they play this. Four-man rush on first down. Buechele, back foot throw, incomplete. So the clock obviously goes nowhere.
And that's not the way you started. And typically a little bubble screen or an inside run, just something to be able to eat some of that clock.
Blitz coming. Tipped ball on the blitz. Traven Howard got a hand on it. Only 3 more seconds comes off the clock, and now it's third down and 10.
Right play here by Buechele. He sees the pressure in the blitz. He's trying to throw into it, but a better play defensively from Traven to get his hands up into the throwing lane.
Buechele takes a shot down the sideline. Adjusting to the football, the running back, Daniel Young. Now he turns into a running back and breaks tackles to the 40-yard line of TCU. Now they'll mark him down at the 42.
That was fascinating. Right before the snap, Gary Patterson's on the field, and he has those 2 defenders switch responsibilities. It took Tejada off of the running back, and instead they're able to take advantage of the safety gains. What a big-time play by the freshman.
Not slowing down at all is Texas. Buechele bullets one over the middle. Incomplete. See, I'm wondering if that's not a spot, if you're Texas, now that you have a runner tackled inbounds, let the clock wind down a little bit, take your time, and see maybe if you take some more time away from TCU before halftime.
And the fine line for them going up against Gary in this defense, and Tom Herman said this to us last night, so there's also an opportunity where they don't get their cleats in the ground.
Yep.
Right, where we have an opportunity to protect better when they're reeling a little bit by using the tempo.
Timing route is there. Colin Johnson turns around at the exact moment that the football arrives from Shane Buechele, and that's first down.
What I love about that is a corner blitz, and instead of panicking at all, and you'll see sometimes receivers and even young quarterbacks panic and flinch, Buechele doesn't, drives that out route for the first down.
They'll snap it with about 22 on the play clock. Incomplete. Intended for Johnson.
Well, this is third time they've been in this high red zone. They missed field goal, they went forward on fourth down, and this is the third occasion they have crossed midfield. If you told Tom Herman before this game, you're to score a touchdown, and you're going to cross the 40-yard line 3 different times against TCU in the first half, he would have taken it.
Buechele goes down. The pocket collapsed, and Ben Bonagou. 5.5 sacks on the season now for Bonagou.
Now you can see him looking to the sidelines. And if you're Gary Patterson, do you take a timeout here? I mean, at 3rd and 17, I think I do.
Well, if Texas snaps the ball with 20 on the play clock, they're doing your work for you. Under pressure, and looks like another sack back to the 45-yard line for Bonagou. And now I would think Gary Patterson would take a timeout, but he's letting the clock wind down. Very surprising that TCU is not calling timeout here. They're doing Texas a big favor.
Yeah, they don't get the ball. Remember, Texas is going to get the ball to begin the second half, and if I'm Gary, with my offense and Kenny throwing it all over the yard and moving the ball yourself, a little bit of a surprise, no doubt.
Tom Herman, he's going to let the clock wind all the way down and call a timeout, I would think, or just take a delay of game penalty if you want before you punt it.
I see him shaking his head there. Those are back-to-back snaps. I mean, you've driven it there past the 40 and back-to-back where you're trying to protect your 5 on their 4, and you can't do it as the true freshman Kerstetter gets beat on a stunt, and that time bull rushed.
Delay of game offense, 5-yard penalty. It remains 4th down. Please reset the game clock to 32 seconds.
Now the game clock, you could see, ran a couple of ticks past the play clock expiring, but that's still a timeout that could have been called with about 1:10, 1:11 on the clock, which is more than enough time for TCU's offense. How surprised are you that Gary Patterson let all that time come off? It's got 3 timeouts. Why not use one?
I think the focus there was so much on the defense and the energy kind of spent right there. For the 3rd and 17, and obviously 4th and forever, there's going to be no thought of going for it for Texas. Give QB this offense an opportunity.
2 seconds.
And an even further favor done for Texas. A 10-second runoff for the team that wants more time to come off the clock. Has an additional advantage for the Longhorns. End over end kick. Knocked out of bounds inside the 1-yard line. So at least makes the center exchange interesting. Not they're going to say it did break the plane. It is a touchback.
Well, Michael Dixon, the punter, is showing you why he was the Big 12 Special Teams Player of the Year a season ago, why he's a Ray Guy semifinalist. He's a good one.
That was really close. The difference between college football and pro football. In college football, it's the ball itself. In pro football, it's the player as to who goes in the end zone. So when that ball's up in the air and the official's looking right down the goal line, he's looking to see if the ball breaks the plane of the goal line in the air. They said it did, and that's why it comes out to the 20-yard line. And TCU will take a knee and take us to halftime. 10-point lead for the Horned Frogs over the Horns. At the break, Adnan, Jesse, and Joey with the halftime report. Adnan.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. It is indeed the Mercedes-Benz halftime report. Alabama's won 6 straight games over LSU, going back to the 2012 BCS National Championship game. First big test for the Tide of the season is hosting the Tigers in Tuscaloosa as we check out the highlights from this one. Jalen Hurts, midway through the first, it's scoreless to find Henry Ruggs III.
They've got a lot of very talented young receivers. Ruggs III, a true freshman, showing you the speed and winning on the post route.
And that will lead to Hurts to Irv Smith with the touchdown.
Jalen Hurts very good on this drive. 3 plays to get into the end zone with the big pass down the middle.
And so it's 7-0 through 1 quarter of play. So for LSU's offense yet to get going. And over on ABC, it is scoreless. First quarter is almost done.
Yeah, Miami drove all the way down the field. Their first drive had a 4th down near the goal line. Went for it, didn't get it. Huge stop for the Hokies on defense playing on the road.
Miami 7-0. The last 2 times they started 7-0 since 2003, they got burned badly in their 8th game. So far, it's scoreless. Once again, it's on ABC. Still to come here on the Mercedes-Benz halftime report. What an incredible scene in Iowa City as the Hawkeyes just thumped the Buckeyes. You want to see just how badly that defeat was. And in East Lansing, how about the emotion for Mark D'Antonio and the Spartans? But first, a word from Jesse.
Welcome back to ESPN College Football, presented by Hampton by Hilton. Just about set for the start of the 3rd quarter, and it will be Texas football to begin the second half, down by 10 to TCU. TCU, with what's already happened today in the world of college football, you can make an argument, controls their own destiny as far as the college football playoff is concerned. To get to that destination, though, they have to start with step 1, and that's beat Texas. Bob Wischusen and Brock Ewart, Allison Williams. How do they hold off the Horns? Conversely, how do the Horns get back in the game?
Yeah, it's really been the one-on-one situation. TCU's played a lot of good defense, situationally been excellent, but Texas has hit their shots down the field, and you knew that this would be their best offense. And it's been a variety of different weapons. The true freshman Daniel Young here, a tremendous play, beating the safety one-on-one, and then your mismatches physically. Will Jordan Humphrey here in a one, just again, this is, you know, you can play great defense, but ultimately there's still going to be one-on-one situations that you've got to win on the perimeter. A tremendous catch from Colin Johnson, and 6 foot, 187-pound corner, 6'6", 220-pound receiver. And good on Buechele to give his weapons the opportunity to finish.
How important is this first possession of the third quarter for Texas?
Well, I think just to possess the ball, minus 2 yards in the first quarter, 187 in the second quarter. I mean, it was a tale of 2 different quarters they possessed it. I mean, at a minimum, you've got to change real estate. On the positive side, they're going to continue to swing for the fences.
Let's head down to Allison.
Yeah, guys, Texas felt like they got back in this game because they took some shots and hit them. And head coach Tom Herman told me they're going to have to keep doing that here in the second half. They are struggling to run the ball, and he knows that, so they've got to hurt them through the air. The trouble is they're having trouble in protection with the struggles on that offensive line. Even though TCU is only bringing 3 and dropping 8, he said we just have to keep helping those guys out with our tight ends and our running back. Puts them in a tough spot because then you have 3 receivers against 8 in coverage, but he said, hey, that's better than getting sacks.
Just 14 rushing yards on 14 attempts. Sacks come into play with those rushing yards, but very little effect in the run game.
Quick pop pass out to the edge to Cade Brewer, the tight end. And he's cut down by Jeff Gladney, but he picks up 3 yards.
These TCU guys tackle. I mean, they really tackle well. How many missed tackles have we seen from corners and safeties and linebackers today? It's how you become a top 10 defense perennially, as Gary Patterson has had here.
Slant. Armonte Foreman. He's got a first down.
As I say that, he runs through an arm tackle for 3 extra yards, but now you see the adjustment. This will be their run game. Here's our run game. We're going to just pitch and catch. Get the ball out of our hands, much like TCU did on the other side with Kenny Hill.
Looking for room and finding a little. Off guard left is Daniel Young. Well, over the last 3 games, TCU's defense has allowed less than a touchdown per game. 6.7 points per game. 164 yards per game. They have been the definition of a shutdown defense, but a pretty good start to the third quarter for Texas. They've got 3rd down and 1 coming after another run by Daniel Young.
Yeah, those are 2 runs here where I know the conversation at halftime was with your 2 offensive guards. That is where your leadership is. That's where your experience is. And no surprise to run between the guards. None of that outside stretch stuff burdening the tackles.
Buechele on a keeper. Can't get anywhere near the first down. Ty Summers. First there for TCU.
And this is just a one-on-one. We talk about him in the passing game, but how about here? And this is the true freshman, the right tackle, Carstetter. And that's just a block you've got to make. I mean, those are the situations. They stand out all the time, being very obvious in known passing situations. But that's where a true freshman is learning. And, yeah, just a little bit of...
Replace your divot. Ty Summers, 2nd team All Big 12 last year. Closing in on 250 tackles in his TCU career. End over end kick from Dixon.
You know what he is? He's very green in this day and age, right? We see green roofs, we see green walls, and then we see a little bit of green there in the helmet of Summers, and he doesn't mind.
So now to the offense for Kenny Hill at TCU. You heard Allison talk about what Tom Herman told her, which was, it's tough to sometimes bottle up Kenny Hill when you're so worried about downfield coverage with all of these wide receivers. Do you see an adjustment coming to the legs of Kenny Hill here for Texas? Do you have to spy?
I don't think you're going to see that soft 3-man rush, 8-man in coverage in 3rd down situations again.
Hicks on first down moves the pile for about 5 yards.
Saw that on the last 2 3rd downs of the second half. They went away from that, and they brought a little pressure, and they asked Kenny Hill to hold the ball and make some of those reads and progressions. That will be some of the plan if they can get to 3rd down.
There goes Kenny Hill on a straight quarterback run, and he can't break free. Tracked down by Breckenhager. Like father, like son again. Breckenhager, the son of Texas's all-time leading tackler. His dad, Britt, was an All-American linebacker. Not too bad when you have a 499 tackle career in college.
He's carving out a role for himself in these situations here, these nickel situations of being that edge rusher. See him right here. And again, look at Texas here. They're not lining up at the 3-man front, allowing Kenny Hill to see pre-snap exactly what he wants to do.
No deep safeties as well. Here comes the blitz off the edge, and Hill avoids the sack. Hager missed him, but tripped up just shy of the first down by Malcolm Roach. What a play by number 32 for the Horns. He saves a third down conversion.
Tremendous pressure, the inside blitz. You know, he's going to kick himself. Is Brecken there? He's the unblocked guy. We saw Roach earlier on a third down, a little zone read option play where he took 2. That's the kind of effort I was talking to Todd Orlando. And that's the kind of effort that TCU saw on the other side. Sonny Cumbie, offensive coordinator. These guys are a little different. You know, in these matchup 3 over the last 3 years, we've blown them out, we get ahead. They just kind of, not necessarily shut it down, but not the effort you have seen this season from the Longhorns. Representative of that, as you see Roach chase that third down.
Good field position for Texas. Their defense keeps giving their offense chances. Will they take advantage? Time now for our Wells Fargo Innovations of Better. And it's 3 knucklehead announcers going into the TCU cryotherapy chamber, led by Allison Williams.
It's like typical Michigan winter right now, like hanging out, throwing snowballs, throwing sledding.
You've been in there for 9 seconds. Yeah, it's cold. What do we have? You got 12 seconds. Woo! I'm not going for it yet. I'm supposed to be able to move. Now, I am ready for the media buffet. We got to sign the wall because we sat, or stood, I should say, inside of a cryo sauna. Is that what they called it?
I don't know.
Which is really an oxymoron. It was only 250 degrees below zero inside that thing. They said we burned about 400 or 500 calories. I'm not buying it, but I took that theory and put it to the test at the media buffet.
Yeah, apparently it's supposed to help with recovery because it gets your blood pumping because it signals to your brain that you're essentially like freezing to death. And we got to sign the wall since we completed the 2-minute challenge. Kobe Bryant also came over and visited the university when he was in town.
That ball's out. Does TCU have a fumble recovery? Incomplete pass as the players scramble for it. Signaled by an official on the far side of the field. Intended for Colin Johnson.
I think that is the right call there. Tremendous effort. You see both these defenses are flying around. Both offenses are trying to play fast and find their adjustments. But this down and distance has been brutal for Texas and really trying to just block this 4-man front. And on these edges in particular.
Buechele on 3rd down and 10. Steps up in the pocket, and he might take off. Only to the 40-yard line, picking up 4 yards. Michael Epley brought him down.
Buechele is slow to get up. He is taking a beating. He's going to have to jump into that cryo sauna. But it's hard, man. When you can't block the edges, when they're 4, we talk about this math all the time. That's what Tom Herman is saying to him. I know, man. I know how challenging this is. And eventually, and you know what? If we had our 2 tackles or 3 starting tackles, and we're having to play young kids that aren't quite ready for this stage yet, there'd be a little bit more time versus 4-man rush. Not the occasion tonight.
Michael Dixon gets away a wobbly kick, angles it to the sideline though, and it's out of bounds near the 20-yard line. Let's see where they mark it out. Right at the 20-yard line for TCU.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Zales. 'Tis the season to save and sparkle more than ever. And the 2017 Lincoln MKX.
There is a young Kenny Hill with his dad Ken Hill, who was the runner-up to Greg Maddux for the Cy Young back in 1994, pitching for the Montreal Expos. And Buechele, of course, his dad Steve, an 11-season third baseman primarily in the big leagues as well. And I went back and looked at that 1994 Montreal Expos team that Ken Hill was a part of. That, of course, was the team that was 70-44 when the strike happened. And there was no World Series. And that team was never reassembled. They lost Larry Walker, Marquise Grissom, Moises Alou. That was a great team that never had a chance to play together again. Darius Anderson runs left. On top of that, that was the first year that Pedro Martinez was a starter. And of course, he would go on to win 3 Cy Youngs and go to the Hall of Fame.
Bob, I asked Kenny Hill Jr. if there was any advice or similarities that his dad has pointed out to him from playing pitcher and quarterback. He said absolutely. He said at both positions he taught me that everyone feeds off of your energy. When you're behind center, it's the same as when you're on the mound. Everyone is looking at you. So he said I have to always try and stay positive. Even when there's mistakes, I don't let my teammates see me get down. I have to set the tone for this offense just like a pitcher does for the defense.
On second down and 11. A run play out to the 25-yard line. That brings up a big 3rd and 5 after we check in with Adnan.
Bob, you're breaking my heart with this 94 Expos talk. Meantime, Virginia Tech and Miami on ABC. Travis Homer, 64-yard touchdown run. That's the longest run allowed by Virginia Tech this season. Miami up 14-0. Let's talk Larry Walker.
Yeah, by the way, Adnan, the Expos at one point had Randy Johnson, too, and they traded him away. Not to bring back more memories for you. 3rd down and 5. Can Texas get a stop? Can TCU keep the drive alive? Going to try and do it on the ground with Hicks. Breaking tackles. Reaches the ball out. Does he get the friendly spot? It looks like he might. And it looks like it's a 1st down without measurement.
Ooh, and this is going to be a close one with his left elbow down. And when that elbow was down,
they get a snap off before any replay can be instituted, and Kenny Hill wants to take a shot with a flag down in the secondary, and another flag thrown on the far sideline. I'm not sure that Texas was able to hustle players off the field. They may have been caught with 12 or more still on the field.
Illegal substitution on the defense. 12 players on the field. A 5-yard penalty. Replay 1st down.
start to do the math, and is why they love to do this. I gotta be quick with that counter on these tempo teams. That's a little stress.
1st and 5.
These poor D coordinators trying to get their personnel on. It's a mad dash.
Think about being the 300-pounder trying to run off the field.
No thanks.
Hicks. Or check that Anderson. Darius Anderson into the secondary, and that's a TCU first down. A gain of 11.
I'll tell you what I love. I love this commitment to the run game tonight. TCU's going to win this game and win the rest in November. They're 57% run. It was shocking to me starting to study this team and look at it. That is the most they have been with Sonny Cumbie here at TCU. But that's your personnel. A couple good backs, interchangeables, 3 senior linemen, QB that can really run. Play to the strengths of your team, and I love the commitment. Even if it hasn't been terribly productive overall, they've been committed to it.
Another run. Darius Anderson up the middle for 3. I thought it was a good line you gave to Sonny Cumbie in our meeting. What happens when you call your old buddy and your mentor Mike Leach and say, Coach, I am 57% run at TCU. What do you think he'd say?
He says, I don't even know you anymore. And you can see that percentage tonight for Sonny Cumbie, but he knows. He didn't like the way he called that game at Iowa State. Got away from him. Didn't feel like he helped his quarterback enough. We don't hear that much from offensive coordinators. But I like that honesty from Sonny Cumbie, and more importantly, the commitment to change it tonight.
Looking for Cavante Turpin on the screen. It's not there. Read perfectly by the Texas defense, and that allows Poona Ford and Gary Johnson to combine on a sack.
Here comes the money down. So you run it, you run it. Move the sticks on a 3rd down run. You run it, you run it. And the play was dead from the beginning. Good eyes there from Texas defensively in the front 7. Here you go. Huge 3rd down.
Texas rushes 4. Hill in the pocket. Well short of the sticks. Nowhere to go. Malik Jefferson all over Desmond White. And at midfield, Texas gets another 3rd down stop.
I think you're starting to see this is a different Texas defense, too. And that's what I'm sure Kenny Hill and Gary Patterson, maybe why Gary Patterson was so conservative at the end of that first half, not taking timeouts. Notice how this game is taking form and taking shape, and after getting worn down a little in that first quarter, Texas has sure responded defensively here over the last 2 quarters.
Line drive kick. It takes a bounce and is fielded on a hop. Breaking a tackle is Hemphill Maps. And he gets out to about the 18-yard line. Texas football when we come back. 6 minutes to go in the third. Allstate is proud to be a part of the team that comes together to do good by contributing to participating universities' general scholarship funds. They'll donate for each field goal and extra point kicked. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds.
Can I create a one-on-one? Can I find an opportunity to get little Jordan Humphrey or Colin Johnson, some of those weapons that we've hit in this game to this point? Can I craft a play, a scheme to get my one-on-one shots down the field?
Two deep safeties for TCU. Shane Buechele looking at pressure off the edge. They'll run the option instead. A pitch to Daniel Young with a flag down.
It's going to be Ennis Gaines, the nickelback there, that's trying to get a jump, as well as the nose tackle.
Offside, defense, number 90, 5-yard penalty, replay, first down.
That's big Russ Blacklock, and that'll wipe the sweat off of Gary Patterson's head. Big nose tackle, he's trying to run that stunt. He knows that he's got to get across the face of that center to allow Ennis Gaines and the rest of that pressure to come. Early start, even more opportunity now to find a shot down the field.
1st and 5. It's almost like a free chance. Buechele under pressure to the sideline, low throw, and it's scooped up. Dorian Leonard, terrific catch.
And speaking of pressure and hits, that's exactly what Shane Buechele has been under tonight. And a lot of it's just the 4-man variety and those tackles on the edge. Nicholson, the left tackle, Kerstetter, the right tackle. Just young, inexperienced. 270 pounds, 6'10", 300 pounds.
The play of a completed forward pass is under further review.
So before Texas could snap the ball, the replay booth buzzes down, and they want to take a further look at whether or not Dorian Leonard scooped that ball up. It was ruled a catch on the field. Got his arms under it at first, but does this when a defensive player gets his hand in there, touch the ground? Certainly looks like it does.
It does. It's going to be Nick Orr, one of those interchangeable pieces that Gary Patterson has on the back end of his defense. We were watching tape yesterday, and I swear if you took the jerseys off of Nick Orr and Ennis Gaines and Ridwan Issahaku and you just put them on the different guys, you wouldn't know. Like body type, they look exactly the same. They play the same. They're all 6 foot, 200 pounds, and Gary sacrifices some size for the speed and quickness. Yeah, and I think you see his hand drive that ball into the ground. Colin does his best to get his hands also underneath it and to fight for it.
Well, Dorian Leonard, you want to talk about an inspirational story? Here's a kid who moved to Longview, Texas from Louisiana with his family. They were chased from suburban New Orleans by Hurricane Katrina. They bounced from home to home at times, living in cheap motels. He almost quit football in high school because he thought he needed to work to help his mom support the family, but his mom wouldn't allow him. He said that his mom told him, no way, you are sticking with football, you are sticking with school. And number 8 in the middle of that huddle is at Texas because his mom said, I am going to work as many jobs as necessary and do whatever it's going to take to make sure that you are sticking with what's important at this point in your life.
After review, the ball hit the ground. It is an incomplete pass. It'll be 2nd down and 5. Please reset the game clock to 5 minutes and 46 seconds. 5:46.
And Dorian was also one of those guys that had to buy into this program. You know, he's had 4 different receiver coaches in his time at Texas, different head coaches, whole new cultures. And Tom Herman said, yeah, there was some adjustments. There were some battles in the spring and into training camp. And so to find a way to fight to get on that field as you see Buechele off the field, more than likely a wildcat situation here for Texas.
2nd down and 5. They've got Gerard Hurd in the game, taking the direct snap, and he will run Wildcat. And he will go nowhere. Lost a couple of yards. Chris Bradley gets the stop, so Hurd off, Buechele back in, and now it's 3rd down and about 7.
You're looking at an offensive line, and you just can't reiterate this enough. You know, this is a true freshman. This is a backup. This is a backup. We're talking about 60% of your offensive line, and this is an All-American that is out. You know, it's a senior leader on the other side of right tackle. Problematic to say the least.
Buechele, that time good pass protection, and he completes. Devin Duvernay runs a little hook route and picks up a 1st down, a gain of 11.
That's rhythm, right? You see when he does have a pocket and opportunity to plant and throw, he can sling it.
Quick screen. Dorian Leonard driven back. And a little extra. Ridwan-Isaku.
These guys are hard, aren't they? They're just so fast running sideline to sideline. It is hard. And you run that numbers game, you run it into boundary. Even if you have a numbers advantage, they compensate because they run so well boundary to boundary.
Here comes the blitz. Double clutch and a completion. Buechele again to Dorian Leonard.
Buechele again takes a shot to the chin.
Texas again is faced with 3rd down.
Oh, don't again me. I'll again you, and he's going to stand up, rise up, and keep fighting.
And once again, Brock Eward
is going to
getting
lose.
a little uppity. 3rd down and 4. Play clock down to 5. Buechele in the face of the blitz again, under pressure. Nowhere to go. Thrown down at the 25-yard line by Ty Summers.
The former quarterback right there, and he's going to get a mouthful from Gary Patterson because he did something wrong. He probably didn't hit it exactly the right way. So the attention to detail stickler that Gary Patterson is says, hey, that could have been a little cleaner. And Ty says, I know the position. I was a high school quarterback. I'm one of 3 former high school quarterbacks, in fact, that start on this defense. And he gets home.
How does that impact that defense, having high school quarterbacks as part of that communication process?
Just understand the big picture.
Wobbly punt. Returnable. Turpin with speed and a flag down. Across the 50-yard line if the return holds up. We'll have to check the marker.
You're going to see this block in the back right here.
During the return, illegal block in the back, receiving team number 26, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, 1st down TCU.
And that's a big one. That's about a 22-yard change in field position because of that penalty. Already another shakeup in the college football rankings brought to you by Allstate. Of course, this poll came out on Halloween, and you can start crossing teams off. 2 big names in the Big Ten taking hits today, Ohio State and Penn State.
And number 11, Oklahoma State as well. And that Big Ten, I think that Big Ten, we've been in it an awful lot this season. I think they're very good. They're just cannibalizing themselves here. And both those teams, an emotional game. Penn State, Ohio State down to the final second, had to go on the road and couldn't fill up the gas tank.
Play action and a rollout for Kenny Hill. Lofts one across his body down the middle. The intended for DR's just a bit too far out in front. Sunday NFL Countdown comes to you at 10 a.m. Rex Ryan, Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselback, Randy Moss, Mort Shefty, Samantha Ponder. Tomorrow morning, the new start time again at 10 a.m. All the early breaking stories, the injury updates. They'll preview each game and take you right up to kickoff. Sunday NFL Countdown tomorrow morning. Also streaming live on the ESPN app. Hitch to Desmond White, and he goes nowhere and pays the price. He lost to Antoine Davis like a freight train.
You know, I love to talk technique here in that outside arm free. No, you just take the blocker and you just throw him 3 yards backwards. And that's a backup. That's Antoine filling in for P.J. Locke. He is out with a lower leg injury. And Antoine, the graduate, had to take like 18 credits this summer to even be active and on this roster. Chance to fill in, making a huge play.
Blitz coming late. Out of the pocket goes Kenny Hill on 3rd and long. It's a foot race to the edge. And he's short of the first down. Well done by Holton Hill to come up from his deep cornerback position and make sure to get Kenny Hill out of bounds before he got to the 40-yard line.
He's frustrated. He knows that first down shot play, and I like that first down shot play. Second down, that quick screen is blown up, and you're looking at 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 12s against this defense. There's a reason they're number 7 in the country on 3rd down. Showing it to you tonight.
They combined 9 consecutive punts between the two offenses, all the way back to the 10-yard line. Hemp Hill Maps on the fair catch. Great punt by Adam Nunez to change field position. 56 yards. Let's check in with that name.
All right, Bob, thank you. Let's take it to the big house in Ann Arbor. Chris Evans here is Minnesota versus Michigan. Little brown jug on the line. Evans powering through. You know, Michigan's got 234 yards rushing. That's the most in the first half versus a Big Ten opponent in the last 10 years. Wolverines getting it done on the ground and on the score sheet. 20-7, Bob.
Right now it's 17-7 here, but the Texas defense keeps on giving the Texas offense opportunities to make this a one-score game. Now they've got the long field to go, though, as they start at their own 8-yard line. Bob Wischusen here with Brock Ewart and Allison Williams. Back to work, Shane Buechele. Quick hitter out to the edge. Nico Small all over Armonte Foreman for a 1-yard loss.
And Nico says, if you can do it on the other side, Antoine, I'll do it on my side. The only way that happens is to have an awareness. You asked me there earlier about quarterbacks playing defense and the advantage. We talked to Gary Patterson about that yesterday. They just understand conceptually the big picture. You know, that you hear all the time, do you understand the why? Why are we doing these things? And they do.
Maybe to the line of scrimmage is Daniel Young. 3rd down and long now for Texas. Michael Epley made the stop.
Excuse me, Bob. The Horned Frogs play 3 of them, including that big monster in the middle. There was a 10'9", 100-meter quarterback. And Summers is now a linebacker, strong safety, defensive end, middle linebacker. I mean, you're loaded at every level of that defense with former high school quarterbacks, and I just think it matters because you see the bigger picture.
Buechele in the end zone. Long throw to the sideline, short. Intended for Armonte Foreman. 3 and out again for the Longhorns. And they'll have to punt from right about the goal line.
You know, you've seen all this hits and pressures, but here's what Gary Patterson does. I call him the Bill Belichick. Look at this rush. Look at this rush. This looks like the other side. Right now, we're going to heat him up. We're going to bring all this pressure. Nope. We're going to rush 2, and you tell me where to throw it down the field. Nowhere to go. Mix and match. Quarterbacks never comfortable. Pre and post snap often different. Dominant too on 3rd down. Gary Patterson, one of the best schemers in all of college football.
Well, Michael Dixon from a couple of yards deep with a line drive kick. Turpin at midfield, lassoed down almost immediately. That's a great play on special teams. Edwin Freeman makes the stop. Week 9 Monday Night Football matchup. A big NFC North rivalry game between the Lions and Packers at Lambeau Field. Monday Night Countdown kicks off our coverage at 6 Eastern on ESPN. The game also available in Spanish on ESPN2.
Now that 3rd down call there by Patterson, you rush 2. That's also a little real estate play. I'm going to rush 2. They're going to check it down, and I've got to find a way. Help my offense with some field position here. Ideal field position. And it just feels like if TCU can finish a drive, if they can get 7, it's going to feel insurmountable to a Texas offense that cannot get going.
Jet sweep. Turpin Turns the corner, maybe 2 yards. Gary Johnson ran him out at the 50-yard line. It's a gain of a couple. Now let's also remember, though, this is a Texas team that has 6 non-offensive touchdowns this season. Last year they didn't have any. This year they've got 4 on defense and a couple on special teams. They might need one of those in the fourth quarter to make this a game again, because down by 2 scores, Brock heading to the fourth. I don't know if their offense can get it done.
Doesn't look like your traditional Big 12 football, but awfully fun to watch.
The circus was in town while we were away. This was the scene here at Fort Worth. Now, I'm Bob Wishoes, and I'm a balding, nerdy broadcaster next to Brock Eward, who is a mammoth former NFL football player. And the look on your face when that snake made an appearance, you legitimately got the willies.
No, thank you.
Wow. Thought you were tough. All of those thoughts dispelled. There goes Darius Anderson, starting off the fourth quarter with a 2nd down run. Well, here's another chance for the Texas defense to get a stop. Great field position for TCU. Brock starting near midfield.
Yeah.
Now it's 3rd and 3.
And I like this from TCU finally. I like them taking a little time to get to the right call, Allison.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, Tom Herman told us this is the side of the ball that's carried the team, and they take a lot of honor in that on defense, and they're just really continuing to push these guys to step up when tested. As we've seen, they were just told on the sideline, the longer this goes, the more they're down. Keep swinging, keep swarming, keep hitting.
Well, they'll have to do that on 3rd down and 3. Kenny Hill looking at a 4-man rush. Under some pressure. Pocket collapses, and down he goes. Hit from behind by Gary Johnson and Gerald Wilbon. We keep talking about Buechele being beaten up. Kenny Hill has taken his fair share of shots as well.
Yeah, and once again, an excellent scheme there from Todd Orlando. He drops the defensive end right into that quick out. Kenny Hill, as we have documented tonight, I think at his very best, and Gary Patterson, getting into Sonny Cumbie a little bit there on the sidelines. But that was a better chess match play by Todd Orlando, dropping into the quick game, not allowing Kenny to throw it on rhythm on time. And yet again, another punt.
And a directional kick and a line drive at that. Hemphill Maps lets it bounce. And it will roll dead inside the 15-yard line of UT. Ten-point lead for TCU. Texas with the football back. Again, though, field position not on their side. They will start at their own 14-yard line. Coming up tonight on SportsCenter at 1:45. The impact of Ohio State and Penn State, their losses. How does that impact Kirk Herbstreit's top 4? And what does he predict the CFB playoff race will look like coming up on Tuesday night? Sizing up the Heisman race as well. Baker Mayfield put up insane pinball machine numbers in Bedlam. Shane Buechele starts with a zone read, finding a crease. Daniel Young. That doubles the amount of rushing yards that Texas has had in the game on one play. Young again, nowhere to go. Wrapped up by Banogu. 2nd down and 10.
Banogu is a bad man. Transfer from Louisiana Monroe, sat out last year. Both these defensive ends that are such difference makers for Gary, both started careers elsewhere. That is exactly how you want to draw him up, and he knows how to leverage those long arms well.
Blitz coming. Buechele off his back foot over the middle, finds Diarce. He gets loose. Or check that Colin Johnson. Colin Johnson out to the 39-yard line. That's a 1st down.
That is a well-designed play. We saw that play. That is a little screen right down the line of scrimmage. If you see men downfield and blocking and you're wondering why that isn't a penalty, it's because Colin Johnson comes screaming right down the line of scrimmage, and as long as it's caught at the line, those linemen can get downfield and block.
Pass interference. The ball was touched at the line of scrimmage. 1st down.
Whitehead saying just that.
The previous play is under further review.
I didn't see a flag get thrown. If there was a flag thrown for offensive pass interference, it looks like the reason they picked it up was because it was a tipped ball. Was it tipped, though? That may be what they're reviewing.
And you're going to see the lineman get downfield here, and this is a little screen, and as long as it's caught at the line of scrimmage, and the line of scrimmage, the 25, and will they give a little grace there, as you're going to see it is about a yard downfield, and actually when it is caught, there is not an issue. You know, these receivers blocking down the field. The running back gets out. The receivers are blocking down the field.
That's a yard past the line of scrimmage, and clearly that ball was not tipped.
Yep. It is a nifty little play. You have got to come screaming flat down the line of scrimmage, not tipped at all. Obvious blocking down the field, not by the running back. It's caught there before the running back, the freshman there, Young, blocks. It is the slot receiver that was down the field blocking. He's worn out. Voice is gone, sweating all over the place. If that cryosana thing burns 500 calories, he burns a lot more tonight on the sidelines.
This is a big call. As things stand right now, Texas has a first down at their own 39-yard line. And yards for the Horns have been tough to come by. They've got 236 yards of total offense and only 7 points on the board against a TCU defense that over their last 3 games has allowed 6.7 points per game. Coming into tonight, they had allowed a touchdown in only 2 of their last 12 quarters played. And obviously they've only allowed 1 touchdown through the first 3+ quarters tonight.
So can you play defense in this conference? These two teams say yes. Yeah, yes, you can. Now, these aren't the 2 best offenses. But this is a Texas crew that held Oklahoma State to 13 points in overtime. And this is a look here of exactly what the replay guys, as we take a look at our replays, this is what they're doing right now, and they're obviously having the conversation.
And you can see some clock rolling as it looks like this is an extended replay, to say the least. There's a long conversation between referee and replay booth, maybe to try to get the ball spotted correctly, so that way then the penalty, if that is then enforced, can be enforced correctly. The clock rolled as well, so they may have to adjust the time. There's probably about 2 or 3 different things that have to be administered here to get the ball, the down and distance, and the clock all lined up where it should have been if they had kept the original call, I guess, enforced.
And it gives everybody a chance, especially defensively, to catch their breath.
There's a lot of bookkeeping.
And pretty even. Texas has run 56 offensive plays, TCU 55 on their side.
After review, the receiver's entire body was beyond the line of scrimmage. Therefore, we do have offensive pass interference. We're going to go half the distance from the 25-yard line, and we're going to replay second down.
So the ball not tipped, you can see that clearly, and the receiver passed the line of scrimmage.
And kind of like with a quarterback where the whole body has to be passed, no body part, can be around that line of scrimmage, everything is past it. And at times there's a little grace that you give, kind of a 1 yard, and you see that in the NFL quite often too, and this is what Tom Herman is saying. But by the book and technically, the referee's got it right. And I'm sure Tom Herman is saying, okay, if you're going to be a stickler like that, then it better be both sides. On every single occasion, if anything is right around the line of scrimmage, or we find ourselves down the road here, into the final minutes, and TCU runs a quick screen and somebody's down the field, that ball better be, better be a stickler on both sides.
And as limited as Texas is offensively, how much of a killer is that penalty for the Horns?
Tremendous.
That is devastating.
And that is a coaching point to a young receiver as well, a true sophomore. If you can't even flirt with it, I mean, if anything, go behind the line of scrimmage. Give yourself half a yard. You know, the most important thing there is you can't be down the field and take away one of our few chunk plays we've had offensively off the board and then marches halfway to the goal line.
So after a long delay, a long review, an administered penalty, Texas, instead of having a first down out at their own 39-yard line, facing 2nd and 23 from their own 13.
I love Shane's eyes. He's looking to the bottom of the screen. If he's going to get a one-on-one opportunity, it's that safety right here that's got to get to the middle of the field.
Daniel Young lost a yard or two. And now it's 3rd down and forever. True freshman on true freshman as Corey Beckley brought down Daniel Young.
These guys are just flying, man.
Tunnel screen, and just buying some yardage for the punt group is Lil Jordan Humphrey.
Can you play elite defense in this conference? TCU is saying to you, yes, Texas is on their side as well. When you've got a plan, when you've got tremendous athleticism at all 3 levels, when you fly around and play a lot of personnel, we'll be taken to the ultimate test for TCU, traveling to Norman, Oklahoma next week, with the most dynamic offense in all of college football. But to date and tonight, for nearly 50 minutes of this game, you are seeing textbook defense for Gary Patterson and TCU.
What a kick. Michael Dixon does it again, driving Turpin all the way back to his own 20, but he gets loose. He's got another gear to midfield and beyond. It was Dixon, the punter, the Aussie Rules football player who's used to making some tackles, that brought down Turpin. A 63-yard punt, but a 34-yard return. Tuesday on ESPN, the exclusive reveal of the college football playoff top 25 rankings at 7 Eastern. Reach and the guys will break it down from top to bottom. Coaches' reactions, a live interview with the committee chairman, Kirby Hokut, also streaming live on the ESPN app. What will that top 4, and most importantly, that top 10, the other teams knocking on the door, look like on Tuesday night? First down run for Kyle Hicks. The first time TCU begins in plus territory. Trying to put this game away. Can Texas fight their way back in the game?
Well, they keep on swinging, and that's exactly what Tom Herman has said to his team. He's brings the baseball bat to the different stadiums. That has been the mantra all year. Keep swinging away, keep swinging away. You don't know when it's going to hit. A team that's got 6 non-offensive touchdowns this season so desperately needs one right now. And this defense has been living up to that challenge.
Back shoulder throw, incomplete. Holton Hill, step for step with Diarse. 3rd down and 8. Does your mentality on defense change when you're in a game like this, where on the sideline you're probably saying to your teammates, our offense is not scoring 10 points if they have to go the long field. We have to rip the ball out.
Yeah.
And even if you don't score yourself, maybe scoop and bring it down and give them the short field, something like that.
You can't press. Right, you can't do something just outside the scheme, or that's when you get into trouble defensively. I think Todd Orlando heard you, at least initially. They were showing a lot of pressure.
Let's see if they bring it here. Blitz off the edge on 3rd down. Kenny Hill out of the pocket. Off the sideline, 2 receivers collide for TCU, and it falls incomplete. I think Jalen Austin was the intended receiver. Sean Nixon there as well. A flag down along the sideline, and we've got an official without a hat. So someone stepped out of bounds. Let's check the penalty call.
Receiver number 15 went out of bounds on his own, came back in bounds and was first to touch the ball. We have illegal touching on the offense. It'll be lost and down at the previous spot, 4th down.
Good to see Boston, that knee is out of bounds. That is the correct call.
I mean, the penalty is irrelevant because it's either an incomplete pass and it's 4th down and 8. All the penalty is a loss of down with no yardage.
That's what Gary is yelling at right there, and I think the side judge is trying to explain to him.
Yeah, it's the same result whether there's a penalty or not. And here is the punt. A fair catch in traffic at the 17-yard line by Hemphill Maps. Texas still down 2 scores with a lot of time on the clock.
ESPN College Football is presented by Hampton by Hilton. Book a room today and follow your team all the way. And in part by Buick, proud partner of the NCAA.
Nice day to take a selfie today on the campus of TCU. A perfect night to tailgate and watch a football game as well.
Why do they look so young?
Because we're old and decrepit.
But we sat in that cryo sauna.
Yeah.
Wasn't that anti-aging? Wasn't that supposed to do that?
I think I need one of those in my den for it to have any impact. 10-point lead for TCU. A little over 10 minutes to go. Back to the offense again as Texas. Again, though, with the long field. Bouchel off play action. Steps up in the pocket. Down he goes. He wanted to go downfield. It just wasn't there, and Joseph Brudnax gets a 2-yard sack.
Well, what Shane is seeing is just hip for hip. I mean, he's trying, and you could see him reading his eyes before the snap. I, too, am looking to see if Gary Patterson's going to go single safety and leave some of these one-on-one shots outside, and he's not. I mean, these guys, why would you? I mean, why would you give them any opportunity to take a big play?
Slant, and that's caught. Colin Johnson out to the 20-yard line, maybe the 21. 3rd down and 7.
It is a terrible feeling to have a 4-man rush be in your face all game and to look out there at every level of this defense and not see any green grass, air, space, anywhere to throw the ball.
Have you seen a defense this year in the games we've covered more sound than TCU?
Not in the games we did. We had Michigan early where they were flying everywhere, but no, over the course of this season, their stats speak for themselves.
Only a 3-man rush. Bouchel with all day to throw, but nowhere to throw it. Waiting for someone to come open. Forces it to midfield, and it's broken up. Anthony Tejada knocked it away from Armonte Foreman. Great coverage.
And just watch what Bouchel is looking at here. He's looking at a 3-man rush. And he gets pretty good protection, right? He has time, but where am I going? Look at all of this. When I say there is no space, there is no air, I'm going to let the play continue. Let the play continue. Where? Where do I see separation anywhere? Nowhere. Until finally I get one receiver trying to cross the defender's face, but at 40 yards down the field, yep, just too much air, too much green grass. Defender recovers. They are just right in the lap of every one of these receivers.
Combined between the two teams, that's the 14th consecutive punt. Flag down. You can just feel it. The job for TCU is to protect the football.
Yes.
The only way it feels like they lose this game, I would say, Brock, is if Texas can make one of those game-changing defensive plays. A takeaway, something to flip the game on its ear.
Illegal substitution. Receiving team number 31 entered the field as the 12th player. It'll be a 5-yard penalty added to the end of the run. 1st down, TCU.
8:44 to go in the 4th. TCU with a 10-point lead and the football.
I'm Adam Dan Burke back in our college football studios, updating you on Virginia Tech and Miami. It's over on ABC. Our Hurricanes up 14-3. That's Sean stomping up the Savoy, getting down to the 3, and then from there, Josh Jackson will punch it in on 2nd and goal. A-Rod and J-Lo are at the game. It's a 4-point lead for Miami midway through the 3rd. Bob?
All right, Adnan, thanks very much. Bob Wischusen, Brock Ewert, Allison Williams, 1st and 10 for TCU as we approach the midway point of the fourth quarter. They hold on to a 10-point lead. It feels like they have had forever in this game over Texas. Hand off for about a 2 or 3 yard run straight ahead to Darius Anderson. And Brock, earlier I know you said that you have to be sound still if you're Texas defensively. You can't take unnecessary risks.
Yep.
At some point, does Tom Herman get on the headset, go over to Todd Orlando, the defensive coordinator, and say, you know what, I don't care about that anymore. We have to do something radical here to try and knock the ball out.
I don't think so, because on third down, they're still bringing their pressures. This is not a group that you need to empty center field and bring 6 or 7.
Here comes a blitz, 4-man rush, and there's the shot downfield. Incomplete. Intended for the true freshman, Jalen Reagor.
And I'll tell you why. It's this guy, number 7 right here, Kenny Hill. That he's played enough football and he's mature enough. And we talked about his dad being a baseball guy, and I said earlier, I think that's a huge advantage because you flush negative stuff and you also learn to manage. Really manage a game. And right now, I think he knows, and he learned the lesson the hard way a week ago, trying to do a little bit too much. Had a couple huge giveaways. I don't think he's going to take that kind of risk here, not the way his defense has played tonight.
Texas shows pressure on 3rd down and 8. They'll rush 4 once again. Hill with a bullet over the middle in stride. He's got Desmond White all the way out to midfield. Gain of 25.
And I bet there's part of Sonny Cumbie on the other sidelines going, geez, finally, offensive coordinator. I mean, finally we found a 3rd down conversion. I mean, this is the 2nd best team in America on 3rd down. Now just 4 of 14 on the evening for TCU.
Darius Anderson tripped up after a 2-yard gain by Poona Ford.
And, you know, we talk about this all the time with these tempo teams, these no-huddle teams. You got a 10-point lead. Can you manage this thing? Can you take that play clock down? Can you start to shorten this game like the Wisconsins do? You know, the ball possession teams that huddle up, that just shorten the game with the defense right now that has been lights out for the Horned Frogs. And they do.
Darius Anderson again to the 42-yard line. And every time TCU picks up a 1st down, it can take potentially 2 minutes off the clock. Well, Texas down by 2 scores. It almost feels as if they don't get a stop on this 3rd down at 2, the game's over.
Yep.
I mean, where are they going to find time with an offense that can't move the ball to score twice in 4 minutes? Anderson again, the setback to the left of Kenny Hill. Kenny Hill on a keeper. Reaches it out and gets the 1st down. Gary Johnson tripped him up. Injured on the play is Jeffrey McCullough for Texas. So while we have a moment, a reminder, tomorrow morning, Sunday NFL Countdown comes to you at 10 a.m. Rex Ryan, Charles Woodson, Matt Hasselback, Randy Moss, Mort Shefty. That whole group with Samantha Ponder. I'll have all the early breaking stories. Preview each game, bring you all the latest injury news, the inactives, right up to kickoff of another NFL Sunday Countdown. Streaming live tomorrow morning as well on the ESPN app. So McCullough has to slowly be walked off. That's another body down for a Texas defense, Brock, that has to be desperate. What can a desperate defense do in this spot to try and do something to get the ball out?
Well, they're trying to sell out, and this is cold right on the bottom here, and this is a little awkward. You know, we're used to seeing at times these lower leg injuries. Player gets run into. It was just really off the snap. He immediately starts to favor that leg. And you see it. It's almost the push right off the bat, and he goes down. Tell you what, man, this Texas group defensively has emptied the tank. They keep swinging whatever analogy, whatever coaching phrase you want to use, these guys continue to play very hard on this side of the ball.
Well, they just snapped it with 27 seconds on the play clock. So TCU at least did Texas a bit of a favor there, and they run out of bounds. That'll stop the clock for the moment as well as Darius Anderson saves some time for Texas. It'll be 2nd down and 5. Is that just a lack of recognition on the part of Kenny
coming
Hill?
off the injury and everything else, yeah.
Not realizing that the game clock was going to start to roll once they set the ball ready for play. And now he's taking the play clock down as far as he can before 2nd down and 5. Anderson again to the 31-yard line. When will Texas start to use their timeouts as well? Maybe if TCU picks up a 1st down here, would they have any choice but to start?
I think that's
to try and save some time.
Once you get under 5 minutes here for Tom Herman. And this is a little of what Tom Herman feared sitting down with us. He really likes his group defensively. That's where the seniors are. That's where Puna's right in the middle, and the rest of these seniors defensively, you know, there's some maturity there that they do feel like they built some grit and some toughness, which we have observed, and we've seen how hard they played. His fear that his offense just would not be able to get anything going, which is exactly what's transpired for 55 minutes.
Darius Anderson bottled up, brought down, shy of the 1st down line to gain. Puna Ford does it again. And now it looks like the timeout will be called before 4th down to save 40 extra seconds by Tom Herman from the sideline. Step aside and come right back to Fort Worth in a moment. We are back with a look at tonight's Buick Drive recap.
Felt a long time ago. I think in real time it was over 2 hours ago in the 1st half. In the 1st quarter, really, TCU established himself 26 1st quarter plays. They got the run game going, the quick passing game going. All of those touchdown runs, all 17 points in the 1st half, and nothing but zeros for both sides here in the 2nd.
And now they're trying to ice the game on 4th down and 1. They're going to go for it. Texas looks like they're selling out to maybe stop the run. Finding a lane, Darius Anderson. He's free. He's into the end zone for a touchdown. The 7th rushing touchdown this season for the sophomore Darius Anderson has blown this one open for TCU.
And it's Texas that brought the baseball bat and Tom Herman and said, keep swinging, keep swinging. It was TCU committed to the run game. 41 of their 68 snaps, continued to be patient. And this is what you call an ankle breaker. That's a lonely place to be for Brandon Jones, the strong safety back there. And Texas has been so good defensively. But here comes 4-3-9 running right at you with one of the rare creases in that front 7. And you see Brandon Jones right there. That's going to be a tough one on film tomorrow. Not see many of those, but it shows you the explosiveness of Darius Anderson in the playmaking. On the big screen when they showed that here moments ago, yeah, it took everybody's breath away, and it will in the film room tomorrow too.
That is the 14th touchdown this season for TCU that traveled 25 yards or more. They had 14 all of last year. And we take a look at the resume that could put them, if not in the top 4, certainly knocking on the door. And obviously they've got the big one against Oklahoma and a possible Big 12 championship game remaining.
Yeah, anytime you start to see numbers like that in the 40s or 50s, and in that committee room, they put all these things right up. I had a chance to be in there. As our producer, Jim Zaroli, this year, I was in that mock committee room 2 years ago. Those numbers start to kind of scare you a little bit, but it will change dramatically.
Where does that number go with a trip to Oklahoma next week?
Up dramatically.
Significantly, especially since Oklahoma did their job earlier today in Bedlam.
And what will continue to show is one of the top defenses in all of college football. No different tonight. They hold Texas down here in the final 420. It will be the fifth opponent. The fifth opponent of 9 held to 7 or less points. That is remarkable in today's college football.
Short return, and let's go to Adnet.
All right, Bob, thank you very much. Updating you on Virginia Tech and Miami. It's over on ABC. This is Malik Rozier on 1st and 10, right to Christopher Herndon, who stays in bounds and goes all the way to the end zone. 21-10 right now for Miami. They got J-Lo. Who do you and Brock got, Bob?
Brock and I have no one.
That's not true. We have Shaylo, who just handed off for a touchdown to Darius.
Good call.
You're welcome.
We've got Allison.
We got snakes. We've got.
That's right. Allison classes up the broadcast. We had a circus. We had fire batons.
We got spiders in our truck.
And now they are in communication with the replay booth again for something. And it looks like replay believes that a fair catch may have been signaled before the Texas return on the kickoff. So this will change the spot of the football if they see some type of a fair catch signal.
It was little Jordan Humphrey.
And that little raise of the arm by little Jordan Humphrey could be interpreted as a fair catch signal. And you do not in college football have to do a big wave over the top of your head fair catch signal the way you do in the NFL. Something like that would be termed even an illegal fair catch signal, but any gesture by any of the return men can immediately kill the play.
After review, there was a fair catch signal given by the receiving team. The ball will be dead at the 23-yard line. Please reset the clock to 4 minutes and 23 seconds.
I think Tom Herman's going to look at a lot of this tape and just going to see there's some things within their control. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard over the next 3 weeks as well with some of the challenges with their injuries on the line of scrimmage. Right, and the freshman running back, freshman tight end, freshman right tackle. You've heard Tom say these things, and those are all very real, but there have been some controllable aspects. Right, some personal fouls, 3 of them in that first quarter. You know, a screen where the receiver's got to come screaming a yard behind the line of scrimmage. Those teachable, coachable moments to correct, and he will.
Bouchel over the middle. That's broken up. Well, I don't know that you would necessarily say that he's got the defensive side of the ball fixed, solved as they go into next season, how much help will they need on defense. But what you have always seen, I guess, from Texas when they've been at their best, explosive players on offense.
Yes.
How long will it take to get that back? Because right now they don't have it.
Well, by most accounts, one of the top 5 recruiting classes is going to help. And I think a lot of that comes to life with the help of the 5 guys up front.
Bouchel extends the play to the sideline. Humphrey comes back to help out his quarterback and gets to midfield. Little Jordan Humphrey to the 35-yard line of TCU. A broken play. And Texas down by 3 scores with 4:01 to go. Pick up 42 yards.
Well, Jordan's a true sophomore. Got a little run as a true freshman a season ago. Little George just doesn't really fit when you're 6'3", 225 and as athletic as he does. It is.
Bouchel through the hands of Hemphill Maps.
Well, you guys have talked about the struggles for this Texas offensive line. Patrick Vahe, the only lineman to start in every game for them this year. And this is a kid who came to the U.S. from Tonga, his family initially going to Utah before settling in Texas. And he said, as a child, I felt like an outcast. In kindergarten, as he was trying to learn the English language, he was bullied and ridiculed. He said trying to learn English was the hardest thing ever. But as difficult as it was at school, there was also tough times at home for him. There was a stretch when his family was homeless. They were living in the streets. He said it was only a few days, but it felt like forever. And it's those memories and what he's had to overcome to get here that continue to drive him. He said, I put my parents before myself. I can't quit because if I do, I quit on them.
Well, it's 6'4", 320. I'd like to see one of the knuckleheads that bullied him when he was younger bully him now. There is a young man that has the last laugh. 3rd down and 10 with 3:37 to go. Hit as he throws as Bouchel fires it to the sideline as best he can. Ty Summers came through untouched. And that is a courageous quarterback that has taken hit after hit tonight.
And you know what? Gary Patterson wants those 7 points on the board, and that is it. He brings a corner pressure here, a overload of the blitz to the bottom of the field. It's Summers, it's the corner. He's not about to just play zone coverage and let Bouchel get comfortable and move the ball up and down the field.
Now it's 4th down and 10. Bouchel hoists one towards the end zone for Johnson. Incomplete. So TCU will take over on downs. And let's check it again with that now.
All right, Bob, thank you. Just want to update you on what's happening at LSU and Alabama in Tuscaloosa. 21-3 tied, but the Tigers finally get something going. That would be Darrell Williams here. A 58-yard rush all the way down to the 2, and from there, Williams will take it in. So far, 159 yards rushing for LSU. Bama's run defense normally allows an average of 66. LSU's got that going for them. They're down by 11 through 3. Bob?
Well, sometimes you have to look for some silver linings. And if you are just competitive this year with Alabama, if you're LSU, that probably is a silver lining. I'm not sure how many silver linings Texas takes out of this game tonight. Darius Anderson for a yard on 1st down.
I think Sonny Cumbie as well. For Gary Patterson, 7 points allowed in complete control. Texas could not run the ball. And Sonny spoke so highly of Gary Patterson and what he has done for him in his career here. And even sitting with Sonny yesterday, I watched his growth and maturation and just his development. And you know, you got to play to the strengths of your team. And right now, maybe over the next 3 weeks, and when you go to Norman, Oklahoma next week, you got to manage it. You don't just see this free spirit and throw it everywhere and be careless. No takeaways, not even really close tonight to any catastrophic mistakes whatsoever. It's also a big part of why you're up 24-7.
Well, since 2014, when Sonny Cumbie arrived here at TCU, they are tied with Baylor for the most games with 300 passing yards and 200 rushing yards. 14 of those kinds of games. So obviously that's a wide open freewheeling offense.
But how about 168 rush yards today, 166 pass yards?
Yep. Flags down. This should be a false start.
False start. Offense number 64. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
But as you said, Brock, philosophically, how hard is it for an offensive play caller that comes from the Mike Leach tree and is used to wide open offense to say, wait a minute, we've got a defense, we've got special teams. Philosophically, I have to change the way I'm looking at the game.
It's a whole lot easier when you're 8-1. You could be ranked number 5 in America.
And it's working. There goes Darius Anderson again. Like lightning out to the 41-yard line before he's brought down by Deshaun Elliott.
Yeah, he wasn't going to get his ankles broken. But you just look at the percentage of the number of plays. I mean, I said to you earlier, these stats, you kind of start to begin to be who these numbers tell you you are. And 57% run coming in tonight, and that is a shot there from Elliott.
Third down and 4. Anderson again. Flag down as he is a yard shy of the 1st down.
It's going to be a hold on the tight end there, Cole Hunt. Hard to avoid at 6'7", right in the frame of everybody looking at that outside run.
Holding. Offense number 81. That penalty is declined. Brings up 4th down.
But you said, how hard is it for Sonny Cumbie, you know, to be a little different guy percentage-wise than what you have been in the past? And you know, when you get to work under Gary Patterson, he's exacting. You know, it is going to be a challenge. The spring, he said, his word yesterday was a bloodbath. So I couldn't believe it. Like my first spring here, are you kidding? They go this hard? We go this hard every day at practice? Just practice? Yeah, you do, to make yourself better. And you can see that's not going to change tonight. 62% run, a lot of that's trying to take the air out of the ball, but that'll be the recipe up at Norman next weekend. And really, it's hardest on that guy too, because Kenny is such a playmaker and he wants to take shots, right? And he wants to take some of that risk. Speaks to his maturation to be able to say, no, you know what, if I got to go 18 to 26 and throw for $146, I'll be just fine with that, because we're 8-1.
I thought you put it perfectly, even looking last week at the failures of TCU's offense. A golfing parallel, stop hitting driver when you can put your 3-iron right in the middle of the fairway on a short par 4.
Yep.
Why do you keep trying to force it down the field? Why do you keep trying to force the big play when you've got a good defense? You've got a significant advantage in special teams often. And tonight they played to their strengths, and that's why the score is what it is. And I also like that in this league that has this national perception of basketball on grass, and certainly Bedlam did everything to reinforce that today.
Yep.
TCU has their identity, the way they play. They're very comfortable in their own skin, and they're going to go play that style.
I think we could write the open for next weekend's game.
That's a contrast of styles if there ever was one, as the rugby-style kick is deflected by the Texas rush. So the Longhorns will take over at their own 47-yard line after what turns into only a 10-yard punt. Well, this is the game-changing play that they needed either on defense or special teams to give their offense the short field, but they needed it much earlier, and they needed it when this was a 2-possession game, not a 3-possession game.
And that's the wide receiver there, Joe. Lorenzo Joe continuing to show effort and want to down to the final couple minutes here for Texas. And Bouchel saying, man alive, I have taken a beating tonight. He knew coming into this thing with the matchups and what you watch on film. You know, you look at this TCU group and what they've done to basically everybody and every quarterback this season, and to run games in particular, and how hard it is to be one-dimensional against them.
Bouchel almost intercepted. Nick Orr had a chance at a pick as Armonte Foreman, the intended receiver, hadn't even turned his head around to look for the football.
Well, this is going to be a fun one in these parts for everybody to talk about. And with the Big Ten losing, with Penn State losing, with Ohio State losing, with Oklahoma winning, with TCU going to wrap this thing up, you're talking about two teams that are going to be sitting, we're in the top 6. Maybe 4, maybe 6, maybe 5, somewhere in that conversation, and they do it so differently in this conference.
Another bullet throw, and that one's broken up. Lorenzo Joe, the intended receiver. It'll be 3rd down and 10.
But I don't think 146 yards out of Kenny Hill and 24 points will be enough on the road at Oklahoma. It's more than enough for Gary tonight against this Texas crew. Gary Patterson knows. He actually said it about Iowa State to us. He said, I'll tell you what, man, I knew Iowa State last year was on the road, just some success in building it the right way. And I bet you Gary's going to say after this one, Texas is doing a lot of things right, especially defensively.
And they continue, TCU does, to pour on the pressure on Shane Bouchel. Sack number 7, this one to Ross Blacklock. Do you see, with what we've seen already today, and if form holds, if Alabama continues to win somewhat convincingly against LSU, any change in the top 4? Georgia, Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson.
Nope.
Those were the top 4 teams. You think that'll stay? Well, Ohio State and Penn State, right behind Oklahoma, rounded out the top 7. Bouchel avoids a sack and throws a prayer. Knocked down by Nick Orr, and a flag down. That might be offensive pass interference on Dorian Leonard, just trying to avoid an interception.
Pass interference, offense, number 8. That penalty is declined. It'll be 1st down, TCU.
Dorian doing his part to help his buddy out, to not get an interception on Shane's ledger there.
So Oklahoma certainly doesn't drop. They won.
Nope.
So TCU, you'd think, would bypass both Ohio State and Penn State clearly.
Yep.
So that should be number 5 against number 6. And the winner of that game would create a very interesting debate in that committee room. Would that be a quality enough win to put the winner of that game into the top 4 of the following poll?
So many of those numbers and metrics and strength of schedule and strength of record and all those things that come into the evaluation change with a game of that magnitude. When you play elite defense, and we do see that. I mean, that is one thing. There's a couple things that I think stand out in college football year after year doing this with you, Bob, is that November chaos reigns. You're going to see teams lose as we did today. But if you can play elite defense and run the ball, you give yourself a chance, especially if you've got to travel on the road.
Well, for TCU to play defense against this Texas offense, that's one story.
Yes.
You watched Bedlam with me while we were getting ready for this game. You've seen Oklahoma this season.
Yep.
How elite does TCU have to play defensively next week to try and slow that freight train down?
The problem in when Gary Patterson echoes Bill Belichick, and I think they're a lot alike, and says, I want to make them left-handed. Okay, well, in what way? Like, you're going to take away their run game and let Baker just run around and run crazy? Or are you going to let them run the ball? I mean, they're so hard to make one-dimensional. TCU did it in a mighty way today. Texas with 9 yards rushing overall. You know, Tom Herman knows it. He knows how good that guy is and how good his group is defensively. But Baker Mayfield, that O-line, that run game, those wide receivers, his playmaking, it will be put to the ultimate test next weekend.
Yeah, the skill position players that TCU is going to have to try and shut down next week, and the quarterback they're going to have to try and slow down, that's a whole different level than what they faced tonight.
I imagine Mr. Patterson's going to start that work here real soon.
Down to Allison.
Coach Patterson, when you went into the half, what did you adjust defensively to hold them to just 78 yards in the second half?
Well, we just kept doing what we did. We got more points, and so it allowed me to call over-the-top defense. So
last week, this team struggled with red zone effectiveness and turnovers. What did you see from your offense this week in those categories?
We didn't beat ourselves. I still would have expected better, but we'll take what we get. So.
With this win, it's 4 in a row against Texas, something that hasn't been done here since the 1930s. When you think about when you took this program over 17 years ago, what does that say about the state of TCU football?
Well, you know, the bottom line is I didn't know it was 4. So we're just glad we won. We're glad we're 8-1. So still on top of the Big 12.
Gary, thank you. Go rest that voice, guys.
As a top 10 team under Gary Patterson, TCU is now 43-5 and 20-0 at home. Convincingly, the Horned Frogs over the Horns. For Allison Williams and Brock Hewitt, I'm Bob Wischusen. So long from Fort Worth. College football scoreboard now at NN.